posting stuff now.
Yeah, just let me know when you're ready, and I'll start the countdown. I won't do it like last time.
All right, we are live on Twitch, so take it away. Tonight, we review the latest Star Trek Discovery and the Mandolorian. All of this and more tonight on The Real Super Geeks. We almost didn't do the enemy opener. Well, in the absence of Carlos, I suppose I'll take the lead here till he shows up. Welcome to the latest episode of Super Geeks on today, the 11th of December, 2020. Joining us, as always, we've got our stalwart producer, Justin. Travis and Lane. The panelist one himself, Sean O'Halloran. And Ensign Beard Fassé. Is that a milkshake?
It's a nog.
Oh, it is about that time of year. I got to stock up. And our friend and mascot, Sunseal. What are you today?
Is that Nog's Nog? Is it eggnog with a little bit of root beer in it?
It's eggnog it's eggnog with a whole lot of rum in it.
Excellent.
Yes.
That works.
Yes.
And brandy and maraschino.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of sodas, though, it's the time of year for me to remind Pepsi what they could have had, because I love my holiday spice and I miss it dearly. Holiday Spice would have literally replaced Coca-Cola in our household as a holiday soda. It would have. Absolutely.
I agree with you, son. Holiday Spice was great.
And, of course, I'm Ross, a.k.a. the Eyebrows of Doom, a.k.a. Live, Love, Play. And welcome once again to the latest episode of Super Geeks. So, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. The latest episode of Star Trek Discovery, Terra Firma, Part 1. Now, a quick round robin. Who expected this episode to go where it did?
What show are we watching?
Discovery.
Okay, yeah.
Disco.
No, did not.
Justin.
I don't think any of us did. Because, none of us thought this was going to go to Mirror Eater. We had some pretty wild guesses of what was going to happen, but I don't think any of us got that.
Jason.
No, it totally took me by surprise.
Son?
So, I have to. I'm sorry. I'm getting down on my knees so I can bow to Sean because holy shit. Yep, everything, sir. You were correct, sir, and I must worship your brilliance.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What was he right about? And please don't add his ego.
Oh.
I had predicted that I've been calling this for a while, that there was something going to go wrong with whatever's going on with Georgia. And I predicted first of all, I predicted last season there was going to be a reason to send her back to her own timeline for Section 31, number one. Number two, which we haven't gotten there yet. Number two, I predicted that it was what was causing Georgia such problems was not just the time travel, but the fact that she had also switched cross dimensions as well. That was my theory on this, and that's why it was affecting her and no one else.
Before we get too deep into Georgiou and her issue, what I was most excited about, as indicated by my background tonight, was we got canon reference to the Kelvin universe. From Kelvin to Prime, not from Prime to Kelvin. It's suck it, haters. It's real.
I mean, it's only taken them 11 years to figure this out. So, I mean,
but we haven't really had a show in that time, and we finally got the opportunity to confirm it.
Yeah, I mean, but I just go with the fact, like, look, I mean, the IP holders explained this to you a long time ago. Why do you? But whatever.
It hurt them so bad.
Here's what I'm
They
gonna
had to run and form their own group because of it.
Here's what I'm going to say. And Carlos will add Carlos to the mix.
There he is.
The fact of the matter is that Leonard Nimoy appeared in 2009, and because he appeared in 2009, that made this that tied it for me anyways. Anyone who wants to say it wasn't, like, is just completely discounting Leonard Nimoy and his role as Spock and kind of all that, and not just one but two features. So they can suck it 11 years ago.
And probably the coolest thing for me that I will shout from the rooftops from here until the end of time: there is no resolving the Kelvin universe. There is no folding it back into canon.
There's nothing to resolve.
Thing, and it is going to live on into eternity. So suck it and shut the hell up. Let's move on and have fun, shall we?
I've never understood what people think are.
Hey, Carlos, what was your thought
On what?
on how the episode went? Were you just as surprised as the rest of us?
Yes, I was surprised. I did not expect a return to the mirror universe.
Y'all speak for yourself. I totally saw it coming.
Greg,
Oh.
You saw it coming?
Greg
I thought
says
the
he called
Guardian
it.
Forever thing was a possibility. Although once they showed up, I thought, well, where else would she go, right? But until I actually saw it, I was like, oh.
I figured there.
What about the way we saw it? I mean, there's a lot to get through before we got there. Moments that led up to that moment. I loved how Vance took Saru aside to kind of give him a bit of
Give him the
wisdom
advice.
on.
That was a good quote. That was a good quote.
Yeah.
Can we-
I know there was a lot of speculation saying that is Starfleet evil? That the people that were getting drops that there's something wrong with Starfleet, but seeing this from Vance, that compassionate side of him, makes me happy that we were most likely not going to see that.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, are we gonna get started?
We are started.
Oh, we are started. How
Yeah,
awesome.
you're late,
You're
Carlos.
late.
You're
You're
late.
late.
No, I had troubles with my setup here. Anyway,
Yeah, I want to just point out. I think this. Whoa! What happened? Something got
What
ghosts?
happened?
Yeah, are you okay?
Okay. I think this puts to rest the notion that. Wow! What is that?
What is
Not
going
me.
on?
Jason?
It's not me.
I think this puts to rest this notion that was floating out there is Vance a bad guy secretly? I don't think he is. I think it's pretty clear that he cares very much about the crews and the people under his command. So.
Yeah, then we get Discovery heads off to this planet in the Gamma Quadrants, and
No, not quite. It's on. It's just
on the
outside.
edge of-
just
out-
shy of the Gamma Quadrant.
yes, and we get
I'll
what's
be-
likely the most TOS encounter we've seen in Trek in a long time.
I
With
do-
what's his name?
Carl.
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 What
I
a
do-
great name!
I do want to point out, though, before we move on, everything that Carlos has been saying and Sean has been saying, and I've kind of agreed with, kind of against Jason, that this is a young, inexperienced Captain Saru just making mistakes. And Vance has that talk with him.
Yeah.
That whole talk was literally about the thing we've been discussing of
Yeah.
whether or not Saru is a bad captain.
Right.
I never say he was a bad captain. He just isn't the great captain that like all
No,
the
you
message
said he
boards.
was a bad captain.
Bad
Yeah,
captain.
you
That
actually
even
went on
got
a
that.
rant.
Well, he is. I mean, well, okay, he's not.
Okay, 30 seconds ago he wasn't. Now he is again.
Okay, he is an inexperienced captain that is making rookie mistakes. Like not even rookie mistakes.
They are rookie mistakes. That's exactly what they are.
Right.
See,
So he shouldn't
Over-
be. He should. Okay. So me saying he was bad is probably overreacting to all the people who are putting him in the pantheon of best captains. He isn't a Kirk. He isn't a Pike. He isn't a Picard. Not yet. I'm not saying he won't get there, but he's making. It's amateur hour at the Apollo.
I think that's an overreach. I think all the stuff he's doing is what you would expect a new captain to do. These are the kinds of mistakes new captains make.
No, this is somebody who doesn't have leadership experience, and he should have had it as a commander. Like if he wasn't able to get there as a first officer, like if he wasn't able to do these things as a first officer, if he didn't learn these lessons as a first officer, he isn't ready for the center seat.
Season again.
There is a vast difference in responsibility from first officer to commanding officer.
In the real military, yes, not in Star Trek. In Star Trek, they're very close. I mean, it's you're in charge of you're basically the leader of the ship. Like look at the Next Generation. You know, it was Riker who was doing all the performance evals. It was Riker who was managing the shifts. It was, you know, he was the doer leader. And
Greg,
at this point,
really?
he should have learned. Don't even go there with Janeway.
Don't go there with
If we're going to compare Saru to Janeway, if we're going to compare Saru to Janeway, he's the freaking best captain ever.
Yeah. Now that's a shit post. Is all I'm going to say. That's because
Like, I've been watching Voyager, and like, let's just say that she's not exactly the strongest captain concerning tomorrow's antagonist entry.
Yeah, I mean, look, my
wish, because I don't remember. I mean, I don't know who it is yet, obviously. So
I'm glad Vance had this talk, and I hope it makes Saru a better captain. How about that? Does that make you all happy?
Yeah.
Well, there is. Look, my position on this is that this Saru being thrust into the captain's seat has come under extremely extraordinary circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a smooth transition. This isn't like, you know, the circumstances where you have Starfleet, an established Starfleet organization all around you for support. Yeah. This is working with what you got and in a completely new environment. So, you know, I think his issues seem more glaring because of that, but I don't think it's that much any worse than anyone else's. And you know, and the thing about Saru that we've seen is that Saru is able to learn. He's able to take advice. He doesn't have a massive ego where he won't, you know, listen to the people around him. You know, sometimes he gets a little too wrapped up in protocol, and then it's, you know, he winds up self-correcting. So, you know, I think it's the circumstances for him. I really think the development of Saru is probably the most realistic, you know, that he's gonna fuck up because of these circumstances he's been put into. So.
Which is fine. He's green. That's totally acceptable. But he shouldn't be ranked as one of the best captains. And a lot of people are doing that.
Who's doing that? Who's doing that? How could he possibly be after 9 episodes?
I'm just saying, you go to the big Star Trek group, you go to shit posting Star Trek group, you go to the better shit posting Star Trek group, you go to like Camp Kittimer, like some of these different. They're saying Saru's great. Listen, he's green. He's making mistakes. You know.
Is there part of this? I'm just going to put this out there. Is this gushing over Saru basically a response to we don't like Burnham, so we have to like Saru?
I would say that a good 40% of the Discovery criticism is directly related to not liking Burnham.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
across the board.
I agree with that too.
Well, but they're
not liking Burnham. Georgia was
she's
exactly
a star,
her biggest fan when she confronted her later, before they got to the planet. Who knew that Discovery's gym included axes, throwing axes?
Hey, they're popular right now. They're the thing, man.
Still, who puts bladed, deadly weapons in a gymnasium?
It's a replicator. It's the 32nd century.
Yeah, I have to imagine that would be her holodeck program, as it were. That's what I'm going to guess that was. That was Giorgio's personal.
No, but to Carlos's point, right now throwing axes is the thing. Like they're open because they're whatever. You can go get a beer and throw an axe. I mean,
oh my God! Imagine if this was 25 years ago and it was midgets.
Hey, why not?
That was a big thing in the mid-90s.
Or 2 years ago, it could have been fidget spinners. Sorry, Travis.
Exactly.
We had a fidget spinner of death in the first season.
It's true, we did. Oh my
Stop
God, we
mocking
did.
the Discovery's spinning thing. I think it's cool. Damn it.
I think so too. I'm just giving you a hard time.
There was.
I look at the criticisms of Burnham and the love of Saru as kind of two major different things. The way I see people kind of adore Saru is the same way I see people having fallen in love with Tucker in Enterprise. Even though they hated Enterprise, they love Trip Tucker for some ungodly reason.
Trip Tucker's one of the most interesting characters of that show. So,
and don't get me wrong, this isn't a knock on Saru as a character in the show. It's just he's making really green mistakes that are costing him. That as Vance pointed out, would cost him dearly with the crew.
Okay, let's take a look for just a second, Jason. Let's parse that out a little bit. What are, say, like the three most significant mistakes you think Saru has made since becoming captain?
He made a first officer someone he does not trust.
Okay, right. Okay, next.
Okay. He does not take intelligence to his superiors for vetting. Okay. And in this instance,
you could go either way with that. All captains.
Yeah, that one very much. It's happened and also not happened.
Yeah.
No, but it did happen.
Great captains as well as bad captains. So
it was still a mistake, right? I mean.
Well,
Burnham,
yeah, but that's a difference in judgment as opposed to being a bad captain. Anyway, go ahead. We'll come back.
And third, he doesn't. He's looking towards anecdote and fame, or anecdote and prestige. Like, so when he going back to first season when he was, he ran the program about the best captain traits, right? Mm-hmm. So we're seeing him emulate that, and so in this case, he's presented with intelligence that will help save a member of his crew, and he falls to an old Vulcan proverb as to why he can't do that right in front of the admiral, right in front of his crew, and without even saying, hey, she is important, and is this something we can figure out? He immediately dismisses and says, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And he gets correctly corrected right in front of his crew by the admiral.
Right. The relationship there, I kind of agree with that, because the relationship at that point was he acted like a first officer getting dressed down by a captain of the ship. But, he should have, again, there's another situation where he should have taken that to the admiral because of what's
going on. Taken what to the admiral?
This side mission that they in this last episode.
The admiral was in the room.
But no, he unilaterally decided no, without even getting any input from the admiral. That's when the admiral had to step in and say, yeah.
But that was in front of the admiral, which presumes that they had brought it to the admiral.
But I don't think it does, though, because it look, if they had brought it. I get what you're saying. But the point here is, he made this decision without any discussion with the admiral standing right there.
He unilaterally decided in that moment that whatever the Federation needed in light of these war games was more important than Giorgio's life. Never forgetting the fact that the Discovery could be anywhere in a moment, right? Like these times when he's rejected these side missions, he's forgetting that if they need Discovery to whip and alter their direction, they could do so in a moment's notice. They could be across the galaxy.
Sound like it's something like that's way oversimplifying it. Yes, the technology to do that happens, but when you're in the middle of one mission and you're being called away on an emergency basis for something else, as captain, you have to make a call over whether the mission you're on supersedes the mission you're being asked to go to.
And so you're saying Saru couldn't make that decision?
I'm saying that.
Are you saying Saru couldn't?
No, what I'm saying is that Saru is trying to be prudent in not having to put himself in that position to begin with.
Saru's being overly cautious.
He's being a coward.
That is so unfair.
That is reaching.
That is so unfair. There's no basis for calling that cowardice.
He's not willing to risk. He doesn't
He's
have the
taken
components.
plenty of risks. The episode before he took a big risk, so you can't get away with saying he doesn't take risks. That's not fair.
He's
Episode
unwilling.
2
Engaging with the
season.
Emerald Chain was a risk. Doing that
Episode-
in perhaps defiance of what Vance had told him. So
Yeah.
you can't say that he hasn't done that because he had. He just had.
Episode 2 of this season, Saru took the biggest risk of all because who did he have as a companion on his away mission? Tilly. Then he
Nice.
went and
On a very
promoted her
special
to first
super
officer, active first officer.
By the way, that's my number 4 on Jason's list, promoting Tilly to first officer.
Yeah, I mean
That was that was already on his list. He already listed that, didn't he?
No, I didn't.
you talked
No,
about
Oh, you didn't get there. Oh, you were talking about Burnham, right? Okay.
yes.
Right.
Carlos,
So,
your mic
Carlos,
is recording really bad.
you was bored.
yeah, you got some serious
Popcorning again.
when you talk.
No, let's move ahead. Let's keep the discussion going with getting to the planet, getting to meeting Carl.
Carl.
Can we before we do that?
Carl,
Before we do that, can we talk about the way Book handled or Saru handled Book asking to join, asking to help?
Okay.
I watched that as that was Saru being a good captain moment, because as much as he was as much as we have this discussion of whether or not Saru was a good captain or a bad captain, there seems to be this story of diplomacy in Saru as a captain more than anything. More of a Picard kind of captain in the diplomacy aspect. And talking with Book like he did, you saw him go, "Hey, when we got here, we had to wait for our moment to shine." Of course, he doesn't give all the details of how they broke all kinds of regulations to do that, but they had to wait for their moment to shine. And he basically imparts that wisdom to Book and said, "You just have to wait for your moment to be able to, join the Federation."
I believe he will find that moment too.
Oh,
Yep.
of course he will. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Much better, Carlos. Much better.
Yeah, I just had to
Turn
tweak
the
an
game
audio
down.
setting. Thank you.
Thank God.
So
And again, just going to call out here. Book got them the intelligence they needed to understand where the burn originated. He's the one who got them in that. He's proven himself.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I
He's
thought it was
proven
kind of
himself as a free agent, but he
Yeah.
hasn't proven himself as an asset, as a dedicated asset. That's what Saru's getting at.
But he got there's. But if it weren't for them, right? If it wasn't for
well,
Book,
no one's disputing that though. It's,
What we're talking about is his moment to shine within the regulations of Starfleet. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, as a member of the crew. That was him as a free agent. This is him now saying, "I want to be part of your crew." So it's a
I'm
completely
just gonna-
different context.
I'm going to do a quick interruption and say to all the Twitch people out there, Lane loves you too.
Oh, I love that they love Lane.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
We have a bit of an honor discussion here, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Evil, but we love them.
Oh yeah.
Even though they're murderers and rapists.
Hey, knock it off.
I mean,
Not
humans
Lane.
are murderers. I mean, humans are murderers and rapists, and we love some of those too.
True.
He had it coming. He had it coming.
Okay. So Book. Is there anything else we want to say about Book?
I think it was just a nice way to set up that Book is going to be like a linchpin in something later on. Because it's kind of what we've been doing this whole season. Like the away mission with Tilly. That pin that kind of just it sticks in you about something's going on here. This is going to be something later. Kind of like a Chekhov's gun sort of issue. But book himself, the way he's acted before, right? He's been this free agent the whole time. I'm not sure how well he's going to do playing by Starfleet rules.
Well, that's going to be his sort of built-in dilemma, right?
Well, that's the
Don't we already
advantage of
have that
having
with
one.
Burnham?
Even if he is as a part of the crew, he still has that freedom to bend the rules more than the rest of the crew can. Just like Giorgio.
We have been talking nearly 30 minutes, and we haven't even gotten to like the juicy parts of this episode yet.
Part's true. Like,
Problem number 5 was Saru. How he lets Giorgio do pretty much whatever the fuck she wants. That's problem number 5.
Well, wouldn't you?
No, I actually that's the one area where I think he's being smart, is letting Giorgio do what she wants.
Would you want to piss off Giorgio? I
Yes.
would.
But reining her in when he needs to.
when he needs to, and she respects him. So I think
Yes, and that's been made very clear in this episode.
yes, it really is.
I like
It,
it.
it was made very clear in the beginning when she departs.
Here's the question, though. Is the respect she has for him because of now or because of the before she's just gone into?
No, I think it's because of now.
Oh yeah, she wouldn't have felt that way.
She has developed a respect for him. It's very clear that she developed a respect for him.
No,
I mean, she used to eat kelpians.
Wait a minute, maybe she should be.
No, wait. You're not getting what I'm getting at, okay?
I get what I do.
Oh, okay. Just so we're clear.
Well,
do.
I'm not clear.
Yeah,
Go ahead, son.
in season 1, they literally ate Saru's mirror counterpart.
No, they didn't.
Saru was not.
No, they didn't eat
Saru
Saru.
himself
They
was
ate
not
another
eating.
kelpian.
That
Yeah,
was
it was
Saru.
No,
No,
What
it was
was it?
definitely not Saru. It was definitely not.
it was not Saru.
That's your
Saru
50
was
bucks.
Saru was Burnham's servant. Remember?
Yes, but I'll have to go back and look because
Yeah, it
I'm
wasn't-
pretty
it
sure
wasn't
she
Saru.
selected.
It wasn't Saru.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't. I get where she's going with this, and
Well, I would like to hear where she's going because I'm not clear yet.
Okay, it's the respect that she has for Saru right now before she even leaves the ship.
Okay.
Is it the respect that she has for Saru, or is it a timeline changing before she even gets into the timeline?
Oh
I
God,
don't-
I hate temporal bullshit.
Okay, wait.
I-
No, I'm still not clear on what you're asking.
Okay.
When you said before twice. in
Because
two
she
different
starts
contexts, so I'm not
trusting
sure.
she starts trusting Saru later, the slave Saru later. Would that trust if the gateway theory is correct, would she be trusting the Saru now like she's trusting the other Saru because of trusting the other Saru?
I think we're dealing with a
chicken and egg
an
issue
all good
here.
things kind of deal here. That
Right.
but let's get into that when we actually get to the mirror universe. We
We
haven't
haven't
talked
even
about
gone
Carl
there
yet.
yet. So
Okay,
let's go there.
okay.
Have we finished talking about Carl?
Oh, one thing I want
We
to
haven't
Carl.
even started.
Oh yet. We
Yeah,
haven't even started.
One
Yeah,
thing I
right.
went through about Carl is he gave me you remember the episode of SG1 when Daniel Jackson was in the bar the diner, the ascended diner with the one ascended being, and then the other guy that was just kind of,
Anubis.
and it was Anubis. Carl in this episode reminded me a lot of that Anubis.
I almost thought it was the same actor there for a minute, and then I had to go double check. But yeah, it is very
Been a
similar.
while since
Okay,
I put
well,
on
this isn't a
SG1.
Stargate discussion, so let's leap into what we think about
Speaking
Carl.
of leap in, I was going to say he reminds me of Al, the bartender from the final episode of Quantum Leap. But there you go.
People.
there's
You can make comparisons, Carlos.
No, of course, but we also have a time frame. we're
No, we
talking
don't.
Yes,
We
yeah.
remember we already said we were throwing it out the window tonight.
about. Well, yes, there's throwing it out the window, and there's throwing it out the window. I mean, I don't want to be here until 2 in the morning my time.
Nor do
So,
I.
So I think Justin's been right the whole time, just about the wrong series. I
Don't.
think Carl is a Q.
Don't.
Oh, Carl is
No.
so not a Q.
No,
No.
I've got a list of stuff right here of references that says that Carl is definitely not Q. He is most likely a personification of another Guardian of Forever.
I would have thought he was a
We've
key,
seen-
but however, there was an original concept by Harlan Ellison that had a lifelike
Has no bearing.
guardian. It has no bearing, but they could have touched on it. Just
Absolutely.
because.
Well, probably inspired by that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. But let's remember, I actually went back and rewatched the first part of City on the Edge of Forever yesterday to look at the interactions they had with the Guardian. Now, of course, it was the 60s, so a lot of it was very stentorian and blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that the Guardian said to them several times was that the way he was talking, the way he was appearing, the way he was dealing with them was based on their ability to comprehend him or it and what it was doing. Now we're talking about 1,000 years in the future, where presumably humanity's ability to comprehend what was going on has similarly advanced. Henceforth, no more, big glowing portal and no more stentorian dialogue, but something that is more reasonable.
Except he knew who they were whenever they got there, so it would be
there with purpose.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I'm going to say that I'm going along with Justin on this, because it's 1,900 years in the future, but they're not from 900 years in the future. They're from 900 years in the past, around the time of era of Kirk.
Yes, but unlike when Kirk and company visited the Guardian of Forever, they found it there. They discovered it there. They weren't going there for the purpose of they were going there to go through the gateway. In this case, they're going there specifically to find this thing that's supposed to cure Georgiou.
Okay, so I look at it from...
They're there with purpose, is what I'm trying to say, unlike in TOS.
I get it. I'm a little bit more pragmatic about this, in that if this is the Guardian Forever, which all signs lead to, and Robert Meyer Burnett leaked the information about, I'm going to say that the Guardian can assume...
Way to go, Anthony.
Perfect. That'd be great. I'm going to say that the Guardian, that obviously there are multiple Guardians the same way, because around the galaxy, and they can pretty much, and there may have been different Guardians made at different times that are more advanced than others, and that can assume whatever form they like. The other side of this too that I found very interesting, and I don't think it can really be dismissed, is of course, you have the back page of that newspaper that he's reading that makes all those references to A City on the Edge of Forever.
Yep, he's reading the Star Dispatch, which is a newspaper used in City on the Edge of Forever, but also throughout Hollywood as a prop paper. The front page story is about the 21st Street mission, which was Edith Keeler's mission in Soup Kitchen. Right. Let's see.
The story,
my bigger concerns are the Takan supernova reference, Takan Empire supernova reference.
Yeah, supernova threatens Takan Empire.
And the Janolan reference.
Starship USS Janolan reported to be missing. Back page appears to feature the ancient Vulcan script, accompanied by a simplified IDIC symbol. Yes, there's a hexagonal crossword puzzle on the back.
I loved that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was and where I've seen that before.
We're getting Scotty.
The price of the paper is 15 quatlus.
Are we really getting to the price of the paper now?
Wow.
Wow.
I
love nerds, of course.
You guys make me look sane.
Well, the back,
I didn't look that deeply.
but the back specifically calls out something that was said in City of the Edge Forever about just helping. I need help, or
yes,
let me help. Let me help. And then there was a little cartoon figure that was equivalent to Edith Keeler. It looked like if you were going to draw Edith Keeler in a cartoon, in a comic style, Sunday paper animated style, cartoon style, that's what she would have looked like.
Yeah.
If this isn't a Guardian, it's the biggest red herring in Star Trek's history.
Well, it's the thing is that I think it is, but I think it's a little bit more complicated because, like I said, the Khan reference is very important because you got to
Well,
remember.
sure, but it doesn't argue against him being his guardian of
No,
forever.
it doesn't. But I think there's something bigger going on. There's something bigger about all these gateways being connected. You've got the Khan Empire and their gateways that were around the entire galaxy, thousands of them. And remember, the guardian of that assumed a human form for Riker and the Ferengi in the last outpost. Not only that, the Genoan reference was also very interesting too because of the Dyson sphere. That Dyson. Let me finish speaking. The Dyson sphere is so far advanced technologically than anything that Starfleet could ever imagine at the time. So I'm thinking all these things are coming together for a reason, and I think it's the Guardian of Forever, but it's a lot more complicated than it was in City on the Edge of Forever.
One thing about the Dyson sphere I'll call out, if you would go back to Relics, is that the star was unstable. The star was aged. It was an aged star, and so the Dyson sphere was abandoned. Who knows how long it was abandoned? Who knows how long the star was? We don't know that the inside of that Dyson sphere was even habitable at that point. So, I mean, it very well could be they're tying all of these different pieces together. Through. I don't disagree with that, Sean, but I do think that this portal and this Carl are the embodiment of a guardian that we saw in the original series.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know this. Like I said, with Robert Meyer Burnett's leak, we know this, unfortunately. So that's what it is. And that's what he's so mad about. So,
spoiler, he actually ended up liking it.
Oh, he did? Good.
Yeah, he actually ended up liking it.
Good for him.
He
I don't believe it.
He says a wonderful homage to Harlan Ellison.
Well, good.
I don't follow him, so.
I still think Carl's a Q.
So
maybe let him make Carl a little less bitter.
Let me make a case. Let me make a case then.
Go ahead.
Let me make a case then. The door can still be a guardian. I believe it is a guardian of forever.
You think it's a twofer?
I believe that it is entirely possible that this is a shunned Q said that they've look, go guard this thing.
No, I'm sorry.
Because if you
I think that's just overly complicated. That's why?
Well, nobody ever has to explain Carl in the first place.
I tend to lean towards Carlos with this, in that I think that Q just doesn't fit the mythos of Discovery. It's just not that kind of show. He wouldn't fit. I
think it could, but I don't think it does in this context.
Okay, wait. You're looking at a single Q. We've seen dozens of Qs with dozens of different motives. We've seen two, in fact, cleaning up John Delancey's Q's messes over the years. Why would we not see a Q that was more akin to? Why would we not see a Q that was more a Q that was more akin to Quinn of Voyager, but before Quinn decided he wanted to kill himself?
Because it's not necessary and overcomplicates the story.
Yeah, it's just there's no reason to have a twofer alien here. You go with one or the other. There's no good reason for it.
Seven's Discovery. They've been throwing us curveballs all season. Look at the mirror universe. Who the hell even thought we was going to get this?
This is Discovery. They've been giving us shit that we don't understand for 3 fucking seasons at this point.
But they don't belabor things. They don't needlessly overcomplicate things. They may make choices you don't like.
Red lights.
That wasn't complicated. That was mistaken.
Are you sure about that?
The concept of the red lights is quite simple. They just made it inconsistent.
They made it complicated.
But it wasn't throwing two different things in there at once to mix this up. I have to agree that it doesn't make sense for them to try to pack Q into this.
There's no good reason for it. When it's Occam's razor, like you only need one sort of omniscient entity to play the role that they're playing. Trying to layer it into two is not necessary. Like what?
Hashtag family.
Well, and then still like the Guardian, and when we go back to the Harlan Ellison story in the original series, the Guardian was talked. It was, it wasn't personified. I think when we look at the original Harlan Ellison treatments, the Guardians were personified, and that was scrapped for 60s TV sensibilities. Right. I don't think you could do a light ring donut talking thing in 2020.
21st century. Totally.
I don't. It doesn't make sense. And so I think that whereas the Guardian is a flashing donut in 1960s worked for that era. I don't think that would work for this era. I think Carl works for this era. If you were going to do a Guardian story, having a personification and having it kind of be maybe even a little tropesy that we would be kind of familiar with, Al from the bar, Anubis, it ties it all together. He's the wise old man directing, being all confounding, directing the forwarding of the story.
It had a very George Jerry, like I said earlier.
I got a George Jerry.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so we got the paper. We got the paper. It has Janolan. It talks about the Khan Empire. We know the Dyson Spear predates all of that.
Oh God!
We're going to see the Dyson Spear before the season's out, and it has something to do with the Spear data.
Nope. I mean, everything so far has to deal with the Spear data, so I'm not discounting that. But why
would they bring up the USS Janolan? Why?
It's an Easter egg.
That probably was an Easter egg.
So far, things with Discovery this season, they have not been that way.
If it were something more, you had to pause, freeze frame, zoom in, and then try and pick it apart. Right. At first, when people saw the Takan Empire thing, they said Terran at first because it's so indistinct on that paper.
Yeah, I did.
Now the mission was big and plain on the page.
Yeah, it was
calling
huge.
It out. Everything else was just filler. Like the price of the paper being 15 quadlus. That doesn't mean we're going to see the gamesters of Triskelion in a future episode. It's just an Easter egg that ties things together.
Maybe
the fact that the ship that's sending out the distress signal is Kelpian is a Chekhov's gun right there.
Maybe we should have a whole episode just of nothing but brains in jars. In like running starships and shit like that.
Futurama.
Discovery, Futurama edition.
Anyway,
Futurama did
it. Oh my God! Are you idiots? That was literally a TOS episode. Oh my God! The bowls, the big.
Yeah, the brain in jars. That's what he's.
That's
gigantic.
Right?
That's
Alien.
Yeah.
No. There was the other one. There
was more than one. There was more than one. Yeah.
There's the one where they're trying to like rescue the brains in jars on a ship.
Yeah. Sargon.
No,
you're
talking about they're not Is There No Truth and Beauty. It's the other one.
No. It's the one with Sargon. They were the brains and globes, but it's basically the same concept.
I like the one where they remove Spock's brain.
Of course you do. Of course. Oh, we got to stop it.
Moving on, please.
Okay, so
right.
So
it actually wasn't that bad of an episode. Come on.
You're welcome.
Actually, like if you want a full disclosure from me, I actually find Spock's brain kind of fascinating hear me out.
Sorry, I was responding to Adam, which is so true.
There's the section towards the end when McCoy is actually performing the surgery on Spock. I can't help but find myself like intrigued through that entire thing just because of how seriously they take it. Like the episode is terrible it's not a good episode. I don't like it. But that entire process of McCoy just performing like the surgery and being like, like him, like just feeling like just the like the logic from the big helmet starting to fade away and just like having the pressure start to like pile onto him. It's
The sincerity is what makes it so fucking fun.
Yes.
Well, it's a parallel to heart transplants, which was a new thing and a controversial thing in the 60s.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous on TV. You can make all the parallels you want. It's ridiculous on TV.
Well, it's ridiculous looking at it a half century later, sure.
No, but it was ridiculous then. I mean, you don't think.
Well, it was a bad episode.
You don't think DeForest Kelly was like doing this, being like, what the, like he was. I mean, but what sells the series and what makes the series endearable and endurable is they did take it seriously and they did play it straight, and it was like, I mean, they could have gone 60s Batman on most of those episodes.
Star Trek was never campy.
And they didn't do that. They
not intentionally, right? I mean, campy is intentional,
right? But it went very silly places.
Shall lead.
It went
that is my quintessential so bad it's good episode.
It went very silly, but it stayed true to its premise, and that's what makes it endearable to me.
Who mourns for Adonis?
Hey, I like that episode.
That episode's so bad.
How I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb.
Okay, so let's get back on track here with Carl. Are we done with Carl? Oh yes, the hand. Yes, that's always one of my favorite things. So any other theories on Carl? We know where Sun stands. I think most of us are on board with the Guardian Forever. Is there any other thoughts?
When it comes to the Guardian, I'm not fully convinced, but I'm not going to say it's not possible. Like, I am more on the like, I can see it happening, but I'm not fully convinced.
If it's not the Guardian, they need to explain the shit out of why it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's just too many clues.
They owe me a serious explanation.
Has anyone ever read the original Harlan Ellison?
Yes.
Yeah, I have it on my bookshelf.
Okay. So the question I have about that then is, because I haven't, does it?
IDW did a comic version of it, by the way.
Okay. Is the Guardian in human form in that?
Yes.
It's several people. It's a chorus of people.
Well, then this is what it fucking is then. Okay. I mean, I think they're just going back to the original story, which I think is great if that's what they're doing. And I think that's probably why Rob is so pleased about it. So yeah, good. I'm cool with that.
I mean,
I like that idea.
Back in the 60s, they wouldn't have had the money to have multiple people trying to pull off Guardian. Plus, it didn't fit. It didn't fit. It didn't fit.
Well, a lot of Harlan Ellison's concept was tossed.
Yes,
last episode.
We could do a whole episode on the differences between Ellison's original story and what we got.
Okay, so I can
a whole podcast.
I can tell you exactly why the guy in the door did not survive, or the people in the door did not survive, and that is because back in the 60s with Star Trek, they were trying to make everything the future.
That's right.
As possible. That's what it was all about. That's why they chose that.
They needed it to look.
Outer world.
That's why Dutch Boy lead paint was the paint of the future in Disneyland.
Well, everything back in the 60s was for the future. I mean, God, we can do a whole show on that. Let's
I might need to go get another cup of tea.
Mirror universe.
So let's go into the mirror universe. Giorgio steps through,
and I'm done.
Oh wait, one quick thing before we do that, I wanted to point out about Giorgio. Every time Giorgio criticized Michael Burnham in this case, she became the voice of the haters. Did you notice that? Yes. Like all the stuff that haters say about Michael Burnham, about the show, was coming out of Giorgio's mouth. I thought it was.
I am not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
Why not? How about an 8-foot pole?
No.
Because he deals with it every day in the Facebook group.
How about touch it with Lane?
You know, if the European Basketball League had a 10-foot pole, they would win every game. So.
I think
that was a dad joke for you. That was a dad joke.
Listen. I think that there are people who make criticisms of Burnham. I think a lot of the Burnham criticisms are fair, right?
They are.
But but I don't think that makes her an unbelievable character or a bad character. She's just a flawed character, like all of us. All of us have our flaws.
Well, and I think that's the point of Giorgio saying what she says.
Right.
She's not saying she's unbelievable. She's saying you're flawed.
Right.
These are the ways in which you're flawed.
Right.
I mean, Spock straight up her out on this like last season too, like in a way that was very, like she was just like, "Hey, why'd you do that?" Like, just like he was like, she likes to take on responsibilities that are often far beyond like what she should be concerned about, and she's like, "Oh, thanks a lot, Spock," that kind of thing.
Right. So I think.
By the way, Adam, you're on fire with your comments tonight, man.
Well, yeah.
So I think for the people who say, "Well, she cries a lot," yeah, she cries. She does cry a lot, but I don't think that makes her a bad character. I think that makes her human. She talks a lot. To Sun's credit, like when she's often pontificating and being the like and I think the writers recognize the faults of Burnham. They wrote the faults of Burnham, and they're leaning into that.
I had a fun talk with my dad about Michael Burnham and the emotions she can have, and he actually thought that it actually felt very natural for her to be as emotional as she is, and he straight up said that a lot of things that shows like The Next Generation are, what makes it dated nowadays is the fact that, this was a show that was made with the mindset of like, humans would like. One of my biggest like things that I just kind of find ridiculous about the true vision of Gene is that one of the things that I guess he put forward out there is that humans would not grieve after losing a loved one, which I just find absolutely ridiculous and kind of regressive to the fact that would we just not care about them? I mean, like, I get that.
I smoked a lot of pot, is what I'm going with.
Not just pot, dude.
Like a lot of just the crew behind a lot of the Star Trek shows that just kind of like portrayed these characters as like being kind of static and not to be overly dramatic here, but emotionless. It just felt, I don't know, it feels like they're just ignoring a part of something that makes us human. And what? I've lost my train of thought. I've lost my train of thought.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Anyway, this episode's about Giorgio.
I'm not dignifying that with a response.
I think I'm with Travis and Lane on this one.
This episode is all about Giorgio, so let's shift from Michael back to her.
Yeah, okay, because I'm not sure I agree with Adam's last comment, but yes. So now we see her go into
Iron Halo +4 invulnerable save.
I loved that crown. I really, really did.
Like whenever we saw her walk through that door and we saw her enter into the universe, that was like, oh my God, what the hell just happened?
Okay, so let's do a quick round robin here. What was your thought once you realized that she'd stepped into the mirror universe? Let's start with Travis and Lane.
Yeah, I was on board. I mean, I actually kind of dig the Discovery Mirror Universe episodes. I thought they were some of the stronger episodes of the debut season. I believe that Discovery has fleshed out the ideology and mindset of the Mirror Universe in ways no other show has, honestly. That's why I kind of like Philippa Georgiou as much as I do. And once I kind of figured that we probably have something like this. I didn't expect it to the extent that it was going to go to, but it very much like when it happened, I was like, okay, are we gonna get something along the line? I'm hoping we get something along the lines of Tapestry more than we do City on the Edge of Forever. If that makes sense.
We'll come back to that because that's the underlying question for everything that's happening in Georgia right now was, does this count? So we'll come back to that in just a second. Son, what was your first impression?
So when she arrives in the mirror universe, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I expected it or didn't expect it, but I was okay with it. What words do I use to describe this? I didn't know what was going on, so I was just kind of rolling with what was going on. And I was perfectly fine not having any background information and just rolling with it and letting it go wherever it was. If that makes any sense.
Sure. I mean, as a writer myself, that would be the best I would hope for, frankly, is just roll with it. Because that means you're in it, you know, and not questioning. But okay.
Then they showed off that stupid fucking ship.
Oh, you don't like the Charon?
I hate the Charon.
Yeah, well, we can come back to that too. Sean.
I pretty much tuned out the moment they went into the mirror universe until she brought out He-Man's sword, and then I was into it at that point.
I have the power.
But isn't that the same sword she had in season 1?
Yes, it was in season 1. I don't know why people are bringing this up right now.
I didn't care
really don't.
either. I thought they did a fine enough job at using the mirror universe in season 1. I didn't care. I mean, you know, what I will say was interesting about
your lightsaber is distorting the audio, Jason.
That is
loud as fuck.
very loud lightsaber.
Okay, mute him. Okay, so I'm completely indifferent to more mirror universe. The only thing I think this has any relevance to is the fact that she's going to have her "It's a Wonderful Life" moment, and it's going to, for whatever reason, wherever this all brings us to. So
see, that's
I didn't.
Okay, well, okay.
I don't need 2 episodes for this. Is what it comes down to, and we're getting.
Well, you don't know what this is yet, though. But fair enough, Ross.
Well, Giorgio stepped through in her full Imperial regalia. We see Captain Killy flanked by her people, and as they chant "Terra Firma," Earth Strong, I got chills. Like, oh, we're doing this. We're doing this. All right, let's see what happens.
I think the mirror universe is fucking ridiculous. I got to be completely honest.
Oh, you're so
I will
wrong.
say this,
You're so wrong.
and we'll get into it a bit as we talk about the rest of the episode. But we see a different mirror universe this time around. We see Terrans actually interacting with each other outside of the regular line of duty, having fun, playing games, showcasing art, seeing culture in the mirror universe.
Using the word kind.
Outside of "I'm evil, I kill you to take your place."
It's kind of like what we see in the Mando later.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
Justin, over to you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Ross, was that your official reaction?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Justin.
Yeah, you know, when she stepped through, I'm going, oh no, we're getting tapestry. And that's my thing. And they're going to give her a choice whether she wants to either, you know, go back to her the beginning of the mirror universe or go to the Prime universe. We'll see.
Okay, so all right, so we'll come back to that because whether it's tapestry or City on the Edge of Forever is really kind of a big deal around this episode.
She's already changed the timeline just by saving Burnham and everything. So
Unless she didn't.
Well,
it's like tapestry.
Yeah, exactly. But that we'll discuss that in a second.
If I hear Zuzu pedals, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit.
Ensign Beard Fossé, where do you stand? What was your reaction when she stepped through?
Holy shit!
Is that holy shit good or holy shit bad?
I mean, it was just. I mean, it was. I did not expect this to go to the mirror universe, even with Giorgio's issues. When we got to the planet and we got to the door, I didn't know what was going to be on the other side. I didn't know if it was going to be the mirror universe. I mean, at that point, like anything, all bets were off at that point. But when she stepped through and we get back to, and the camera kind of pans around and we see her and then it circles back around and we see, I was like, wow, like they did it. Like they went somewhere. First season, I knew Lorca was from the mirror universe. I knew that Ash was Vogue. This is a show that has stumbled, I think, in trying to catch us off guard and catch us like surprised. And this time they actually pulled it off really well.
Yeah, indeed. Because it wasn't protracted. I think
majority
they
of the
stumble.
episode.
What's that?
Especially considering this was the majority of the episode. And you called it last week, Carlos, that the teasers that they give us at the end of the before the next episode, they're not the central focus.
Yeah.
So whatever is going to happen is going to be much bigger.
The last few have all literally been just the opening scene.
They're intentionally misleading, is what they are.
Well, I wouldn't call it misleading.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's great. It's good to do that. That's what I think a good trailer does. The biggest problem with trailers in general, my issue with them, is that they give away the whole fucking show or movie.
Star Trek 5.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, so it's. I do think it's refreshing that when they do the old switcheroo on us like that, and we say, "Oh my God, I did not see that coming out." So yeah, I just don't like the mirror universe concept in general. I don't like this notion of just this constant. I think it's just dumb. This mustache twirling shit with everybody kills everybody to get to the top. It just seems so bizarre. I don't have a problem with the whole structure of this evil empire, this fascist empire. I don't have a problem with the theory of that because we've seen that in human history. What I have a problem with it is the command structure and the governmental structure. I just think it's just chaotic. It's anarchy, and there's no way that I think the two can coexist.
I don't think it's anarchy. I think they're following the strongest leader, right? Regardless of what they want is strength. What they want is like it kind of tees into what we're going to talk about later with Mando. They don't want freedom. They want security. They want order. And so the Empire and whoever the Emperor is, if they're the strongest, if they're the bloodiest person, if they're the person with the most bloodstained, then they are in the best position to provide that order.
Yeah, but I don't want to jump into Mando yet, but the reality of it is that you don't see officers killing superior officers in order to gain a higher position in rank. Or
Klingons.
You do, however, see Sith killing each other over position.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. There can only be two.
Yeah,
Klingons kill each other for position.
No, they don't. The Klingons kill each other when through dereliction of duty.
Right, and so when you see your superior officer being derelict, when they're no longer strong enough to be in that position, it is your duty as a good Terran to challenge them and defeat them and take their place.
Which is the whole point of Michael's, coup attempt.
And we see
she literally says that.
As well.
Sean. I'm not talking about that.
I'm talking about Owoshika and the other guy.
Okay, you guys are ignoring the other 53 years of the mirror universe we've been exposed to. Both.
First of all, we haven't been exposed to 53 years of
okay, but
the universe. We've been exposed to one episode in TOS. 2 or 3 episodes of Discovery, and then I forget how many in Deep Space Nine. But frankly, I hate the Deep Space Nine ones because they kind of abandoned the whole premise of the context.
But they all it's not just about dereliction of duty with them. It's about ambition. It's about wanting that guy's job. They were killing each other in the hallway in this episode over a job. Okay, two lower ranked officers or crewmen were killing each other.
They didn't actually kill each other though,
because it was stopped. That's the only reason.
But we see exactly the same kind of behaviors and motivations in our world, just minus the actual killing. But
that's a big fucking deal.
Sean, there is a parallel to that exact thing in the Klingon Empire, where when a position is given to an officer, that officer can immediately be challenged by anybody else.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be quite the same here. This is,
Well, we can debate the mirror universe more if you want in a little while, but I think the point is it exists. It is a thing that is part of Star Trek, and it's like the people who complain about the transporter. It's like, you know what, you make some good points, but it is what it is. Yeah. It's part of the show. It is part of the lore. It exists. So complaining about it doesn't do any good.
Well, that's why this episode gets a 4 from me. So,
but this episode
does it though?
But this episode in conjunction with the others, makes the mirror universe that we've seen so far much more palatable.
Yeah, it
makes
gives it real texture.
Right.
It did give it depth. I'm not going to argue with that. I did appreciate that there was a lot more depth to the mirror universe this time around. No question.
The Discovery mirror universe haven't been mustache twirling.
Mhm.
And that's
Did anybody watch the Stamets poem thing and go, God, he really hates doing this, doesn't he?
so the Stamets poem is a plot hole, I think.
Why?
Go on.
Because theoretically, right, he would have done this poem on the Discovery before Georgiou took command of the Charon, right? Georgiou knows Georgiou kills him, right? I mean, the events didn't change until she spares Burnham. So
no, the events changed because she didn't kill Stamets originally. She did know that he was in on a plot.
But then she puts him on the Charon?
Yeah, that's what she does to get him to do whatever he did with their version of the Spore network. But that was his punishment.
Well, I will tell you that
punishment.
My big takeaway from this episode is that Cirque du Soleil is just as evil in this universe as it is in the
No.
Yeah, but now we have a new dilemma because Stamets isn't on Discovery to fuck up the Shroom Network. What's going to happen to the Discovery and the Prime Universe?
He was fucking up the Shroom Network on the Charon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's dead.
And now he's dead.
And
So
now
you can't
So that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that the timeline changed the minute she out and out killed Stamets.
Yep.
You know, and it was changed even further when she spares Burnham.
That's why I'm thinking we're looking at a tapestry type
And
deal
makes
here.
an ally of Slave Saru.
I don't think it's tapestry. I think this is how we get the Discovery.
This is the change.
This is how we get Disco in a nebula waiting for 1,000 years.
You know, maybe, but the thing is that's not the ISS Discovery.
No, I mean she's eventually going to cross back over to the Prime Universe, and that Discovery gets put away for 1,000 years.
So we're going to have a second Prime.
So you're
universe?
talking about another timeline, yet another timeline.
No,
Maybe
not.
That's what we need.
I thought about that. I just don't.
It'd be a perfect way for them to jump into the future.
Exactly what Discovery would do, though.
I don't think so.
And the fourth timeline where Cirque du Soleil.
Who's to say stop it, Adam?
Hey, he wrote it. He didn't say it. It doesn't.
He
count.
said it already 3 times.
He said it. We have it on audio.
Yes,
Just for you,
are
Adam.
doomed. But I mean, we also could be looking at, like I said, Discovery and the Nebula. We could be looking at a complete redo of the history leading up to season 2. We could be looking at Lorca being back in the picture.
Let's look at what else we got in this episode. We got to see Killy again with a completely new haircut.
Yes,
a completely new hairstyle. We got to see.
He was hot.
Very hot. We got to see a Michael Burnham that does overact.
Emo Burnham.
The sad thing is, I actually like that Burnham better than the normal Burnham.
She cranked
I'm not
up.
touching
She
that.
cranked that up to 50.
Yeah.
My favorite line of the entire episode was before she went through the door, and this is like my favorite Georgia line ever. I think. God, Michael, know when to shut the hell up. I thought that was.
Well, like I said, he was voicing the haters.
Yep.
That Mira Michael is compelling. She's just so sinister in everything she says and does. Just when she walks into a room and the look that she's giving Georgiou, you can see the malice and the ambition as she's staring at her and greeting her.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, an interesting thing though about this timeline is that the whole issue of Georgiou appearing weak. These are all things that predate the crossover.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen if she kills Lorca before he crosses over?
Well, Carlos, finish your thought.
Well, I mean, my point is that we're dealing right now with what we're seeing with a Georgiou who came, who has spent what, a year or whatever in the Prime universe, and has changed presumably because of her year in the Prime universe. But
A couple years.
the whole reason that she's become more compassionate or whatever however you want to characterize that, but this issue, and of course compassion equals weakness to a Terran, but this was something that was already manifesting in her prior to her going to the Prime universe in the first place, because that's why Lorca and Burnham in the Mirror universe were plotting the coup to begin with. So there's some of that was already present in her prior to her going to the Prime universe, and of course that only amplified it in her before her return in this episode.
Question though, was it because of an inherent weakness in Georgiou, or was it Lorca manipulating Michael? Because Killy is a loyalist, or appears to be a loyalist from the beginning.
Yeah.
And Awoshikan was ready to murder somebody in order to get the job as the head of security for the Charon. Out of loyalty. That was made very clear in that brawl. Awoshikan was fighting because of her love of the Empire, her loyalty for Georgiou, and her want and need to serve at the side of the Emperor. While the other guy just wanted the job.
Don't forget that also in the first season that Lorca was plotting with all of the renegade races against Georgiou.
Right, and that's true here too.
Did anyone, by the way, catch when Tilly was going through all of Georgiou's titles, that Dominus of Kronos was in the list?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that always in the list?
I didn't realize they had taken
it was always part of the list.
That's how she knew how to blow up Kronos to end the war.
Okay, I
did it already.
All right, I didn't realize that.
Something that
season 1.
Something at the end of the dance and poem scene. They called her a true daughter of Rome.
Rome, yes.
That is new.
Here is that the Terran Empire is a successor to the Roman Empire.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Rome leads into eugenics wars. Eugenics wars leads into Terran Empire.
Yeah.
Except the only reason why I say that doesn't make sense is when we see the first contact scenes in Enterprise's Mirror Universe episodes, where the Defiant crosses over, we see the war ravaged scene from the end of First Contact, right? Cochrane in kind of rags and not being in a makeshift bar, not like a so obviously Rome fell, but for whatever reason they see this as kind of a restored empire.
Yeah. Well, the eugenics wars still happen.
Yeah,
but they just turn out differently. The planet is still decimated.
Yeah,
and Khan is actually a super nice guy
and everything else. So Cochrane is still placed where he wants to create warp drive.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look at the opening titles of the Enterprise episodes, mirror episodes, because they portray lots of human history as a mirror, as the evil version of. So it wasn't just there was this one event without which it would have been.
Did the Nazis win in World War II?
Well, we don't know.
I mean, because that's kind of like the impression I got from those opening titles.
No, those opening titles go way back before World War II. So
I understand that, but my point being on that is that the opening titles of the In a Mirror Darkly episodes seem to highlight all the major highlights of that universe for them. Is what it's supposed to do. So that's why I got the impression that the Nazis won.
Well, I mean, possibly, but we don't see that as far as I remember.
Well, I'll be writing that fanfic very soon.
Okay, you get right on that.
I don't think it means that. This doesn't necessarily mean that the Nazis won. It means that a fascist regime won.
Oh, the guys who were helping the aliens who were helping the Nazis in Enterprise.
No.
The temporal wars turned out a little differently.
No.
I like that.
I like that idea.
No.
I like that.
Every Star Trek, one thing.
That
they
is
need
the
space Nazis at least once.
dumbest ending all Star Trek. I hate that ending so much.
I just get off on Travis's righteous indignation.
The funny thing is, Ross is actually riffing off of one of our friends, Mike Medeiros, who wrote a story that Edith Keeler was one of those agents.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that is
She was sent back in time to ensure that the mirror universe happened on the Prime world, on Prime Earth. That makes a lot of sense. Foiled by love,
you guys are.
That's a little bit of a tangent. So let's get back to the main line of the story here, which is
saying that a lot tonight.
Yeah.
So can we relish in the fact that we got a conclusion or an explanation for Giorgio taking the pain stick in episode 2 and going, "This is just foreplay." Because when they get into the mess hall, that's what they're doing.
Well, when you take the pain stick, it is foreplay. Wait a minute, what are we talking about?
That's what she said.
Stamets and a couple officers playing with Agonize just to see who can hold on the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Making a game out of that.
That makes sense. They would.
You'll be in a corner going, "Stop it!"
And then, of course, you got the two officers playing what the arrow, but with a knife, the apple on the head. William Tell, right?
Is that what it's called?
Russian roulette.
No, it's not Russian roulette,
But
it's
no,
an archer shooting an
variation.
apple off
Yeah.
somebody's head.
Right.
Except
But
with
this
a
time
knife.
with a knife.
That's a terrible idea.
So yeah, of course, I'm the one that points out the perverted thing, right?
Of course
I
you
was
are.
waiting for an opportunity too, so it's not just you.
Keep my
Okay,
dark
fair
side
enough.
away from here.
So, so let's get to the central question then of this episode, which is this Tapestry or is this City on the Edge of Forever? In other words, there's the change in the timeline when she leans over to Burnham and says, basically everything changes. Let's make the most of it, shall we? Does everything really change? I mean, is this a difference that makes a difference, or is it just a thing that's playing in her own head and like in Tapestry, and then go from there?
Do you know what just occurred to me? It just occurred to me that the events in Discovery that get her over to the Prime universe have not occurred yet. So
right.
While she's fucking around in her little universe, everything is going smooth as silk in the Prime universe, and they're going to wind up there anyway, is what it comes down to, because that's where Lorca is right now.
Yep.
Yeah,
not necessarily. He's not
we
there
don't,
yet.
we don't know that
Not
he's
there
there
yet, though.
We may get because you gotta realize, like him and Burnham were trying to complete their coup, right? So the coup got messed up, and then somehow he wound up in the Prime universe, right?
Right.
Which
Prime
means,
which
means very likely or very possibly we could see Prime Lorca show up.
Yeah, which I totally want.
And if I remember correctly, and I mean, I did try to do some research on this today. I couldn't find it, but if I remember correctly, towards the end of the filming for season 3, Lorca with Jason Isaacs tweeted a picture of him having lunch with his former castmates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is my theory now, based on this. Okay, my theory is that
wait. Let's hang on theories for just a second. We'll get to a whole thing on theories. Let's focus on the central question: do we think this counts or not?
I think that's why I have to explain my theory. That's why I have to explain my theory.
Who else? We'll get to it, and then who else? Ross?
I don't think this is Tapestry or City on the Edge of Forever. I think this is Cupid.
Ugh.
Well, that's just Cupid.
I think this absolutely matters to Giorgio and what is going on with Giorgio right now.
Tapestry.
No. It's not Tapestry because, like Carl said when she went in, your wristband, which she's still wearing on the other side, will stay green, but there are still things that can kill you.
Sure.
What happens over there absolutely matters to her. The stakes are real. Her life is on the line.
Yes.
Doesn't
that argue for City on the Edge of Forever then?
I would also argue that also goes for Tapestry.
Tapestry too.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, but Tapestry. Oh, sorry.
But we don't know whether or not those changes will carry over, because we still get in the teaser for next episode, we see Book and Adira looking over the data, the distress call data. So I think that we're getting something in between. What's going on with Giorgio matters to Giorgio, and the consequences are going to resonate with her. What we don't know for certain is whether or not it's going to affect what happens when she leaves.
But when you say that about Giorgio, you're saying basically Tapestry. I mean, it's either something that matters to that central character only, or it's something that actually affects the real timeline.
Well,
I think it's going to be somewhere in between.
Can I call here in Tapestry? Picard had to go back and get stabbed in the heart. So this idea that Tapestry was this sort of make-believe world that Q set up, this make-believe simulation that Q set up just to convince Picard, those stakes mattered. At the end of the day, Picard said, "You know what, Q? I don't want to live like this. Send me back. Let me do it again. I'll do it the right way this time." And he did. And that's why Tapestry happened the way it did. He fixed the timeline based on his own choice.
I want to live, Clarence. I want to live. I want my life back.
I would rather die the man I was than live the life that I just saw.
I'm not at all saying that Tapestry was like just make-believe world, but what I'm going at that it was meant to show Picard a certain side of himself. And while Q does say, like, hey, if you do this, it might interfere with your life, he does say he won't change other things in the time.
You won't change anybody else's life, is what he said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we've already seen the consequences of changing history going through the Guardian.
Yes, we have. And that's kind of why I'm leaning more towards this.
We haven't yet.
The difference there is that the change that happened was accidental.
So
McCoy going insane and jumping through the Guardian was unintentional. It was not on purpose.
But if
Giorgio
the Guardian,
and coming to that planet and
if the Guardian
on purpose,
if the Guardian could protect the timeline from Giorgio in this instance, why couldn't it have protected the timeline when Bones went through the Guardian in Ed City on the Edge of Forever?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm arguing that it is City on the Edge of Forever. He's not protecting anything.
But here's the thing on this: if Giorgio ends up changing her timeline to where she doesn't cross over, what happens with?
Well, that's something we find out
31
next episode.
And everything
that's something
like
we
that.
find out. Because you could argue that Section 31 is about her and Prime Lorca.
I'm talking about what's the guy's name that she ends up killing at the end of last season? The Control.
Leland.
Yeah.
Leland.
Leland. Yeah, she ends up killing Leland. Because of her brand of brutality. Who will be able to pull that off on Discovery Crew?
Okay. So,
Well, you're about 3 horses ahead of the cart at the moment, or 3 carts ahead of the horse. So
that's what we're saying. This is Tapestry. Tapestry, was similar but different. But if she don't cross over,
well, you don't know that she doesn't cross over.
What I'm getting at when I say this feels more like a Tapestry thing for me is that it's less like rewriting history and more like this feels more like Giorgio potentially discovering a new side of herself. When we're looking at her this episode, she is definitely feeling far more compassionate than normal. She's trying to redeem Michael here. And this just feels like a new side of Giorgio that might be coming out, which could potentially lay out the foundation of the upcoming Section 31 show and how her character will behave moving forward. That's very much kind of just where I'm going with it. Like when I say it feels more like Tapestry.
That's the Tapestry theory. But the City on the Edge of Forever theory is that the changes she's making count for everybody.
I have a completely oddball left field theory aside from all of this.
Hit it.
It doesn't matter. What we're seeing right now is whatever this is, Guardian or not, allowing Giorgio to be in the past, and then instead of her crossing over different things twice, she's only doing it once when she comes back through.
Thank you. This is where I'm going with this.
Oh, wait, say that again, son.
So the time agent that they're talking about, when they're talking about the time agent, The only thing that ran through my head was he was a temporal agent. That meant they plucked him out of one time and sent him to another, and then after that other timeline got shoved into the Prime Universe, which meant he then traveled through time and then through dimension, which is just what happened to George O. Now, that was two separate jumps, and it started screwing with the guy, which is what they explained.
Mm-hmm.
This thing through this Guardian or whatever, yes, it is set in the mirror universe in the past, but it's basically staged so that when she comes back through, she's only making one jump.
Ooh.
Oh, a reattunement.
This is exactly what my point was entirely. This is my theory on this whole thing.
I like it.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to know who the old man Potter is in this story. No one's explained that to me. Because I'm going to keep making It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I know you are, except that let's stick to this.
Okay.
Theory about this. So what is your theory here?
It's very simple, okay? It's like Sun says. We have to, I'm assuming here that our Section 31 series is going to take place in the Prime Universe. That's my assumption on this, okay? Now, we've said from the very beginning, she has to get back to her right time in order for hello, we lost him. Did we lose you? What happened?
No, he said he'll be right back.
No, I'm still here.
Okay, we have to get her back to that era in order for okay, thanks, Jason. We have to get her back to that era in order for this to be a reality. She can't stay 900 years in the future. So what the Guardian has done is put her back to the point where she's back in her own timeline, at least her own era, okay? And where eventually she's going to wind up crossing back over to the Prime Universe to start anew. But it won't be the same. It will be the Giorgio with the experience on the Prime Discovery crew, with her experiences with Prime Burnham, her experiences now after going through this new set of circumstances in her own universe, where she's a kinder, gentler Giorgio that's going to be going back to the Prime Universe and be with Section 31. She's not going to be nearly as hard as she was before. That's my point.
This is also, and I guess this is, I don't know, just blatant writing to me. It's where the Admiral just keeps like pounding on Burnham's, hey, you got to accept the fact that she may not come back.
There is a third possibility with this where, she goes back to the other, universe in time, but instead of jumping over, they cross her over there, then bring her forward that way through the gateway, and it negates the side effect.
No. That's not the thing. We're not bringing her back to 900 years later. We're keeping her back when Pike happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have two
Exactly.
shows, and we're gonna have two shows in the same era.
But they're diametrically different because one is focused around doing secret agent stuff all over the galaxy, protecting the interests of the Federation. The other one is boldly going where no other ship has gone.
Right.
So thematically,
There's a third possibility. There's a third possibility here.
Wouldn't this be the sixth at this point? We've put out so many.
So many. Well, I mean, there's the possibility that she never leaves the mirror universe again, and that the Section 31 that she establishes is one in the mirror universe,
Yeah, I doubt it.
which is intended to keep the Terran Empire from completely falling apart, but because it does, we know that by DS9, it falls apart. In fact, one of the things I hated about the DS9 Mirror Universe episodes is this presumption that that the huge risk that Mirror Spock took ended up being all for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Depends on who you ask. Some people think it's never really confirmed, but the Terran Empire just consolidated closer around Earth.
And the other thing, Carlos, that I didn't like about the Deep Space Nine universe or the Deep Space Nine Mirror Universe episodes is that the other species in the Mirror Universe that we've come to know are kind of still emblematic of who they naturally are. The Vulcans, and we saw this in Enterprise. We saw this now in the Discovery version of the Mirror Universe. In the DS9 Mirror Universe episodes, they become the mustache twirling villains who are cutthroat and will kill each other for position
Right.
and power. Like it's instead of it being human centric, it becomes alien centric, and that's just
And a Ferengi has to die each time.
Well, they're expensive.
Or
And every time a Ferengi dies, an angel gets his wings. Bingo!
There you
it
go.
is.
Every time a
not.
Ferengi dies,
Why?
an angel gets its
why
wing.
would you do that?
You just upset Travis and Lane.
I'm upset too because Nog is my all-time favorite character in Star Trek.
Yes, Nog is
And-
amazing.
And the entire, and I know this is a tangent, the entire DS9 documentary was ruined for me because they killed Nog off in this start of season 8.
Hey, it got a priceless reaction from Aaron Eisenberg there. So.
Well, but did they though? Because like, if that was going to be, for those who haven't seen it, I'm sorry, I apologize, but if we're talking about Star Trek here, no one ever really truly is dead. Let's be honest. So
I'm stealing the catchphrase.
Well, Nog is unless they do a recast,
So-
which
well, right, exactly. But that's not going to happen anyway. It was all theoretical anyway. So
well, what about Chekhov?
what about Chekhov?
What?
Anton
We're
Yelchin
talking
is
about-
dead.
Oh, yeah, but do we really believe the Kelvin films are coming
What do you
back?
mean? What do you mean? He was reassigned to the Kelvin's version of the Reliant.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, whatever you say.
Take note of Shonda Rhimes. There are more ways to move on characters than killing them.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. Uncle Billy can
Don't
handle
talk
it.
about
up.
Did you just call Carlos Shonda Rhimes?
No, I was addressing Miss Rhimes herself.
Yeah, I mean,
I like being Shonda Rhimes. Make me Shonda Rhimes.
But I'm salty over the plane crash arc in general of Grey.
You're bitter
I
about
have
that.
no idea
Very
what you're
bitter.
talking about.
It's
Well,
a-
you know,
it's a
she
Grey's
Grey was
Anatomy.
my favorite character.
She continued her murderous rampage in Scandal too. So it's not just
Boy, she really did in Scandal. Wow, she went to town. That's why I stopped watching. It was like too much. There's too
Well,
much.
I've never seen Scandal, so I don't think I shall.
The
There
first
was-
season is
there was-
awesome.
there was more death in that show than an episode of Game of Thrones. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So where does that leave us? With regards
Are we going to
this
do a
episode?
rating this show, or do we want to wait till after next episode?
I
This is
prefer to wait.
two-parter.
Well, actually, I would like to hear your temporary rating of this show.
I'll give you my temporal rating.
Well, as you wish.
Simple.
Just on its own
PBS rating.
on its own merits, because you can do the same thing with Best of Both Worlds, parts 1 and parts 2.
Yeah.
I guess you want your TPS report then?
I do.
No, the TPS report is saved for the Mandalorian episode.
It can be used either way.
that was the best part of that episode. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a second. Are there any other issues that you want to raise about this episode before we go into rating?
Okay,
Maybe
so,
just like
Go ahead, Travis.
I was just going to say something in general about the show. There's one thing that this episode did bring up that makes me like, this is one thing I really wish that the show was exploring just a bit more than it is right now, and that is the Discovery's computer data, the evolution from the sphere data, I should
We're
say.
doing it a little bit at a time, which I'm okay with.
I would like a little bit more. The mystery, I believe, is not getting quite enough focus for me. I mean, granted, the focus this season has kind of been shaky at best, but I personally just like, I find I want a little bit more. Just come on, tease me.
Speaking of a
I
little
think
bit
that's
more,
exactly
where's Jet Reno?
She's around.
When
She has
when
other
she's
things going
needed,
on.
she'll be there. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a reason she's not a named.
She's
thing
on
in the
drugs.
titles.
Yeah, if
They
you
bring her
want to
when they need-
know, if you want to know about her role in the Discovery, I recommend you go watch or go listen to the episode of the Star Trek podcast, the official Star Trek podcast, where she's the guest, because she talks about she wants to do it, but it's not something she wants to do all the time, and she likes coming in and filling out a story here and there. So, yeah.
And I think that's a good way to look at it because, I mean, frankly, the regular cast is pretty big already.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the thing that I want to bring up is that this is actually something that Adam Isle mentioned on his show, is that sure we see Giorgio in the that Halo thing from the Emperor in 40K, but she also starts talking like the Emperor from 40K. She starts making like these same grandiose kind of claims about how things are changing and evolving and how they're going to have to change with them.
I thought she looked like Queen Amidala from Star Wars.
Well, whatever. I mean, what's the point story wise?
Well, honestly, the way that humanity is in 40K could kind of it is a lot like the Terran Empire, or what we think of as the Terran Empire, and
that explains why Alec Peters likes it so much.
Okay, not going there. But
Stalker,
just what we're getting out of Giorgio seems like we're getting a setup to a crucial change within the Terran Empire that actually does turn out to be more aggressive, and you know, everything we've come to expect as terrible of the Mirror Universe. I think we're starting to see, just because she thinks she's changing the Empire, but instead she's going to wind up making it worse.
That doesn't seem to make sense to me.
I don't think she's going to make a significant change in the events of the Empire from what happened at the point she leaves it. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we need to go back to her flashbacks and the blood and everything else. That's what's going to be our big moment here.
What if that bloody mess that she was screaming for was Burnham?
That's what I said. I mean, that's what I've been saying.
I think that's actually kind of obvious.
Yeah.
How is there not a portrait of the Emperor in the damn rule book? Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what I think this is about. This isn't about necessarily changing the course of the Emperor. This is about changing a choice she made that caused the death of someone else. Yeah, but not really, because I think it's more.
Tapestry. The whole point thematically was to examine your life and to.
I get that, but my point is, though, at the end of the day, I don't know if she necessarily can change it. She just has to come to terms with it. So we're back to sitting on the edge forever, because Edith Keeler must die.
The linchpin in this being Tapestry or not is the fact that she changes history and then asks to go and set it right back.
Oh, so you're saying that's what's going to happen in part 2?
No, not at all. That's why I don't think it's a Tapestry.
Okay.
The whole linchpin in Tapestry is that Picard is shuffled to the future where he has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And he begs to go back and set himself right. I don't think it's going to happen here, which makes it not Tapestry.
Set himself right and proceed to his death.
Is a change in the past, which is where presumably, he's the older, wiser Picard who does not make does not do whatever it is he does with the Nausicaan and does the right thing, but ends up being, miserable because he did the right thing as a young Picard instead of doing what young Picard would have done, which is the rash and, irrational thing. So that's where the change is in he brought his older Picard sensibilities into his actions as a younger Picard, and that actually turned out to be a bad choice for him.
Right.
So what's the parallel here?
There isn't one. It's not Tapestry. That's
if it's not Tapestry, then it's Sitting on the Edge of Forever, in which case it's a difference that makes a difference to everybody, not just to him.
Or it's neither, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Or we get to the next episode and we see that the events of this episode do have consequence. But since Burnham is on the planet, she is protected, and she goes and joins Philippa in the Mirror Universe in order to keep the events.
Well, what does it matter? What do the events in the Mirror Universe matter worth a shit to the Prime
Universe?
Universe?
Work
because if they don't, if the events in the Mirror Universe don't unfold the way they did, the future as we've seen it doesn't unfold the way it did. right? So
Giorgio's not there to kill Leland.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it even goes back further than that. The spore drive, the development of the spore drive was spurred by Mirror Lorca's working on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right, and if we don't, and now we have Mirror Stamets dead, he's not there in the mycelial network. He's not condemned to the mycelial network to be able to tell Prime Stamets what's going on. So then we could even see like the complete destruction of the mycelial network, which would destroy all universe.
Causing the burn.
What does a cigar mean?
sometimes
Sometimes
a cigar is just a cigar.
He's looking for a girl in a blue dress.
That's my point. That you guys picked it up and ran with it, because I'm starting to think maybe we're just overthinking the hell out of that.
We are absolutely overthinking.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean you can definitely, whether you go the Tapestry route or the City on the Edge Forever route. I mean, there's so many different permutations of what might happen that yes, that you can.
It doesn't matter.
That.
Just let it happen.
It matters.
So basically, what it comes down to here is that at the end of the day, this was a pretty good job of storytelling. If we're thinking about it this much, so good.
Yeah, that's what I would say. So okay, so let's go to our ratings then for this episode. First of a two-part, and let's start with Sun.
My rectal rating is 98.6 degrees.
I love that band. Okay, so 9.86. That's really good.
No.
And then what is it?
I'm not giving this a rating until we see the conclusion of it.
Okay. Would you have done the same with Best of Both Worlds?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Which meant, as you guys were agonizing, I'd probably be off watching porn or something and not giving a shit.
I prefer to agonize. Thanks. Okay, let's go to Beard Fasse.
I am like Son. I'm going to withhold my ratings just because I don't think this episode really should be rated on its own, because it is part one of a part two. Going back to Best of Both Worlds, yes, I would have rated Best of Both Worlds. I would have given part one would have been a 10. It would have been one of the best episodes ever. But then 3 months later, it went the shitter with that crappy ending. And so I think that you have to take these together as one story.
Well, I would argue the opposite, because while yes, part two was not as good as part one,
It's not bad.
that doesn't take away from the fact that part one was brilliant. And I could give a third rating to the overall story of the two parts, but I can also pretty legitimately look at each one on its own merits.
Whoa, hold the phone. Greg.
Hey, Travis.
Greg. You're pulling an R&B on us, Greg.
Oh my
Where's Travis?
God.
So in our private chat this week, Travis was like, I'm going to, next time Greg goes off on me about always saying this is my favorite episode of Discovery, I'm going to go off on him about never giving it more than a 5. Travis,
you need to come back and see this. Lane is going to have to bring him up to speed.
Yeah.
We'll flash it up there again when he comes back. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
7 out of 10 Baby Yodas. I'm proud of you, Greg.
Grogu, baby Grogu.
Whatever. Okay, so. Okay, anything else you want to say before we move to our next person? All right, then let's go to Ross.
All right, I'm going to continue the unconventional rating trend and give it 9 out of 10 Necron flayed ones. Half painted.
That's only one Baby Yoda.
There was a lot to love about this episode. I love that we got meat onto the Terran Empire carcass to gnaw on. I loved the discussion of art and culture that we've never seen in the Mirror Universe before. I loved the sinister Michael. I loved how Giorgio is conflicted over how her perception of people she knows through the lens of getting to know their prime counterparts. And I love how she is stubbornly set to forge a new path in this prior timeline. I'm so
Hey.
excited to see what happens next.
Hey, Travis.
What up?
Look at Greg's comment.
Hmm.
What do you
Good.
think of that, Mister?
I think it's cool.
He thinks it's cool.
I mean, like,
just-
I'm honestly like I'm very down to earth when it comes to this kind of thing. Like I said, I've said this
well,
many
about
times.
Greg specifically.
Greg specifically. I mean, Greg's
Yeah,
cool.
he's giving it a
Greg's
7
fine.
out of 10.
Greg's fine. He's cool.
He's watching, doesn't he?
I'm going back to the
I know
chat
that
and I'm
he's one
pulling
of
the
our
direct
biggest
quote.
fans
I'm going
here,
to put
and
it up there.
I know that he's like kind of come after me, like, "Oh, Travis, you are always fanboying about the show and everything like that." I'm very down to earth like this. This might also be like kind of like my tired mindset talking. I have no idea. Like, I'm having a hard. Like, I don't. Good on you, Greg.
All right, good.
Drink your tea, Travis.
All
Let's
that
go
for,
to well,
all
you're
that
still
for
coaching.
good on you, Greg.
Yeah, Travis, what is your and Lane's rating for this episode?
Yours or mine and Lane's. Lane.
I don't want to presume that Lane has exactly the same opinion as you.
Yeah, I think about that too. Yeah.
So
He told me to put a shirt on at night.
Lane is right.
I would have, I'm honestly like, you know what? I'm kind of, I need sleep. My concert is kind of wearing off, so it might be somewhere. I didn't sleep very good last night.
Give us a number, Travis.
I'll go with Greg. Why not? 7
out of 10. That's kind of low for you, though.
I mean, like, let's put it this way. It's a 2-part episode. I need more.
I agree.
I need a
Okay.
little bit more. I'm fine, guys.
Two-part episodes always have a first part, right?
Yeah, I mean, like,
there's going to be more.
Let's put it
So-
this way. I enjoyed this episode.
Do you give? Sorry, go ahead, Travis.
I enjoyed this episode. I was, I enjoyed the trip back into the mirror universe, and I enjoyed seeing Philippa's journey.
I guess what I'm asking is, what didn't you like about it? Because you're giving it a lower than normal score for you.
I mean, I guess if I have to be picky here, I'll go ahead and say that again, like, there was some focus issues as far as like I didn't particularly care too much just for I guess like the B plot on the Discovery, which kind of felt like just tacked on, if that makes any sense.
About the burn?
Like Stamets and Adira's scene.
That's the C plot. Wait, are you talking about their relationship or?
No, I'm talking about like the whole thing about the burn.
Okay.
Like it just kind of felt out of place for this episode. That's just me talking. Yeah, I mean, it was a good, not great episode for me. Like, I'm looking forward to part 2, because again, as I said before, I do believe that the Mirror Universe episodes of Discovery are probably some of the best out there. They do a wonderful job of fleshing out the universe, in that respect, in ways that, again, no other Star Trek series comes close to doing. I am kind of with Sean on there in that it's just kind of generic villainy twirly mustache type of thing, but I mean, I need more. This isn't going to be like, if this isn't the kind of like, it doesn't leave me on the same high as something like The Best of Both Worlds or Call to Action or Redemption Part 2. I mean, not part 2. What? I need my tea. God damn it!
Get your tea. Okay, so 7 out of 10 for you, Son. Who started? Son.
You started with
it. Yeah, I thought I did. It's just you're right next to him on my thing, and so I just went to the left. And Ross is gone, so Sean.
I give it one Uncle Billy and a newspaper full of $8,000.
Stop it! Look at all these- I can't.
You got one more in.
I can't shout it because I got a roommate asleep and I got another roommate over there. So
We have plenty of recording this night. So
I'm
not going to dignify
Mirror
that as a
Travis.
response.
Mirror Travis hates
If there's a Mirror
everything,
Travis-
including Lane.
Mirror Travis is a night owl.
does Mirror Lane have a goatee?
Mirror Lane has a goatee
Look,
and drinks beer and smokes pot.
Look, if there's a Mirror Travis, he scares me because, well, no. You know what?
He's supposed
Mirror
to scare
Travis
you.
doesn't scare me because I scare myself.
So Mirror Travis would love himself.
So Mirror Travis would be confident in himself.
You know what? That's actually a good assumption.
I'm of the opinion. I really have a difficult time rating this episode without seeing how it unfolds because it literally felt like this episode was cut off midstream. I cannot give this. I can't.
It was.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It was not a cliffhanger.
It was just very abrupt. So
It was like they thought about doing it like a longer, and then they decided, no, let's just cut it here, make it a 2-part.
And that might be kind of what.
No,
Exactly.
I
That's
think
how I
that-
felt.
well, it does feel that way, but I don't think that was an intentional.
Because most of their 2-parters, they'll always kind of end on a cliffhanger. So we had a 2-part with Battle of the Binary Stars we did.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Battle of the
so
Binary Stars.
I'm
Yeah,
going
but
to
those are show
abs-
openers, though.
I'm going to
Those are series
abstain.
openers.
I have to abstain. I really cannot wrap my head around this episode right now
And-
because there's a lot I liked, but I need to see where this is all going.
And
You
that might be
people.
kind of why my rating's kind of on the low end is because it did kind of feel like abrupt. Like again,
Well-
it's a solid episode, but an ending can speak volumes for me.
Just
Like,
remember, though, this is a temporary rating until we see the next episode.
Like-
That way we can
Oh,
overall
I
rating.
gave you the out. Justin.
Okay, then I give it a 7. I give it a 7.5 then.
Oh,
If that-
okay.
if that's it.
I'm right there with everybody else on this. I'm thinking it's about a 7.5 because we haven't seen more. Obviously, I felt it was too soon. Mirror Travis has oh my god.
No,
No.
Mirror Travis would have a Gabumon.
I don't
Yeah.
even know
What?
what you're talking about.
Digimon is not my thing, dude.
Exactly.
But it would be Mirror Travis's thing.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't.
And,
I know
and Mirror Travis wouldn't have a beanie. He would have a
You know what?
Hat.
ball
You know
cap.
what? You know what? Mirror Travis is probably gay, so
Oh, that's good to know.
So we have a fabulous hat.
Carlos, you
what have I
bad
done? That's
man.
never gonna leave me now.
Terrible.
It's never gonna leave me.
Mirror Sean wears pants.
Mirror Carlos would
Mirror
not
Travis
be
would
the word.
out of his
that
forehead.
means Mirror Sean wears pants.
Exactly.
It does.
But no
Are you wearing
shirt.
pants tonight?
Stop it, Ross.
I
You
asked you
stop
earlier.
it. You stop it, Ross. I know what you said.
What
Don't
we
do it.
just started. What we just started. Is
What did you say, Ross? I
Carlos-
need to know what you said. What did you say?
No, don't repeat it. Don't repeat
Wait
it.
till he
Don't
goes
you?
to bed.
Nope. Nope.
I said Mirror Travis is proud of his forehead.
Nope.
That's okay.
You know what? God damn it! My screen froze. My screen froze. You all suck.
Stop it, Ross. Stop it.
So what we started tonight.
You guys can't
is
do it
that
like
I know
Prime-
you only you can do it.
So what we started tonight is that Prime Carlos would be interested in Mirror Travis. That's weird.
But
Stop it, son.
Prime,
Just,
yeah,
you
but
all
Prime
stop it.
Carlos
Just
wouldn't.
stop it. You
Prime
all
Carlos
stop
wouldn't
it.
be fat.
All right, let's get back to Prime Justin and his rating.
Angry tea sipping.
Oh, Travis, you're
Oh,
awesome.
that needs to be a meme. Someone meme that.
Yes, please let someone meme that. Sean, you're our official memer
What am I meaning?
Angry tea sipping.
from Travis.
Oh, angry tea.
Look at Greg's comment.
Maybe you're in the mirror
Everyone's
universe,
agreeing
Greg.
with Greg.
Maybe you're the one in the mirror universe.
Except for me, I'm giving it a 9.
Oh, look at you.
Whoa!
And here's why. Here's why. Because last episode, I think I gave it a 7, a 7.5, something like that.
You gave it, I believe, an 8.
Really? I thought it was more like a 7.5.
That was the episode before.
I can't remember.
I'm talking about the one with on
Sanctuary?
Sanctuary.
The one,
Which I thought was, okay, but contrasting that episode with this episode, like that episode didn't really go anywhere very far. This episode went very far. This episode got to some down and dirty stuff with Giorgio. It had tension in all the right places. It raised all kinds of questions and possibilities and theories and discussion. And last episode didn't do that. I mean, it just didn't. Not to this extent. So an episode that is able to pull that off and generate that kind of interest and theorizing and comment, I think tends to probably be a pretty good episode. So 9 from me.
And was that your initial thoughts coming out of that episode, Carlos?
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you that they did not stick the ending. It was very abrupt. But yeah, I felt like it was a really great episode.
The reason Go ahead.
The reason I ask that is because in our chat, right, your comment after, like, I'm assuming you watched the show, that was something.
Well, that was something.
Yeah, like it wasn't like oh, that was a great episode. It was, well, that was something, and that's usually something that I was being deliberately
obtuse.
Okay.
So, because I actually I liked it. I mean, immediately, it wasn't something I came back around to.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
I meant it more as like that was something, as opposed to.
I'd like to point out that Travis is sitting in a fake twirling his mustache as we're all commenting.
What?
He doesn't have enough of it to twirl.
Is that why he's sitting there acting like he is?
What are you talking about? I just
leaning on his hand.
Yeah, I'm just fidgeting.
Okay, Justin, did we get a number for you? What was it again?
Mine was 7.5.
7.5. Okay. All right.
I mean, I'm along with you, Carlos. I think this was a really good episode, probably one of the better ones of the season. Mm-hmm. I want to see the payoff because
it's true. It could go very wrong in the second episode.
Best of Both Worlds just totally ruined, like, the idea of.
See, I don't think it ruined.
But this is the first time they've ever done this in a Trek episode. Left us just cut off without any type of a ending.
Mr. War. No, wait. Mr. Wolf. Fire. Black screen.
Okay, the first time since Best of Both Worlds that they've done that to us. But
which is regarded as the one of the best first two-parters ever.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Whenever they done that was the last episode for the summer. So they had a whole couple months before they got into the next episode. Here we get it next week.
Also didn't know where they abruptly end the action to make you want to come back for more.
Yeah, exactly.
This is nothing new.
But
I mean, that's cliffhangers are a thing. That's
Best of Both Worlds made it a thing.
Why are we here? Just to suffer.
Yes, you're here to suffer.
That was deep.
Can we skip this and go to a galaxy far, far away?
Yes, I think
it's time to go to a galaxy far, far away.
It is time to go to a galaxy far, far away.
It's been past time to go to a galaxy far, far away. We spent 2 hours with Star Trek.
Well, it was a good episode. Okay, so now we go to vomiting Yodas and Groots, and we go to this episode of The Mandalorian in our segment we like to call Mandalicious. Chapter 14, The Believer. It is, how many do we have left? One more?
One more.
Yeah, just one more.
We have one more episode of the season. I know. Well, it's only 8 episodes this season.
I hate short seasons.
Yep. Well, okay. So this was a big deal. Mandalorian, no more Razor Crests. Sorry, Jason.
Boom.
And as soon as they opened this show, they put the recap of That shit going boom.
It was the first thing we saw. Jason.
I was like, oh, poor Jason.
Disney. Can I just make one plea to Disney right now? I love Disney Star Wars. I liked the sequel trilogy. I went last year. I used my Christmas present last year to take my son to Galaxy's Edge, and I went and bought one of their overpriced lightsabers because I just wanted it. I bought my kid an R6 unit because, well, I love Star Wars. Why would you do this to me?
Because you'll get Slave 1 and like it.
So
Because there's going to be a new Razor Crest, and they can sell that one too.
Exactly.
Because we
They're
love
gonna be
Slave
playing
One
too, I'm calling
years,
it now.
Jason.
As long as it's 25% different.
Listen, if I would have been fine if we could have just waited until after Christmas and me and the kid had the opportunity to build the first Razor Crest before they blew the fucker up.
You can still build it, and then you can reenact the scene and rebuild it again.
Yeah, Sean will show you how.
And again, and again, and again.
Speaking of, hey Sean, did you enjoy today's Lego build
Which one?
from the Advent calendar?
Oh, I don't have the advent calendar.
It's the Millennium Falcon today.
Oh, we've had that one before.
That was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, this is the only.
That Millennium Falcon build was a serious pain in the ass.
This is the only year that I haven't in like a decade that I haven't bought the Lego advent calendar.
All right, so let's get back to the episode. So Mando and the Marshal and Boba Fett and what's her name? Fennec? No, Fennec?
Fennec.
Boo.
Anyway, so they go off to find Baby Yoda, and they recruit.
Who?
They recruit one of Mando's old associates, who's currently in a Republic scrapyard, taking apart old TIE fighters, which I thought was hilarious. They were all
Was that the
scrapped.
TIE fighter from the end of the first season? Was that the same prop, you think?
Oh, probably.
Most likely.
I don't know how much of it was real and how much was a CGI extension, but anyway, so and his name is, what was it? Mayfeld.
Yes.
Right. So off he goes because he's the only one who can get into the computer system. Apparently, even though it's the Mandalorian himself who ends up getting his face scanned, so I'm not sure what that was about. But
So before we go any further, Boba Fett paints miniatures because he painted his armor.
oh yeah, well maybe there's a
just
machine
cleaned
for
it.
that. Oh, it was pretty beat up.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see it with a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, he looked good. Way to go, Boba. Fabulous assassin.
More
Oh, no.
clean than he looked in the original trilogy.
Yeah. Well.
The armor that we get.
I wasted no time.
We gotta. Why?
Go again.
Right?
Why?
Because we love you.
I missed the goatee on the first look.
We need someone's got to get another picture without the steeper in it. I was drinking with this silly thing in there.
I mean,
Mirror Travis drinks coffee though.
There's
What's that?
coffee that Debbie left.
Mirror Travis drinks coffee, not tea.
I drink both tea and coffee. Thank you very much.
I don't want to be nasty. I don't want to be nasty, so I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, be
Be
nasty.
nasty. I don't care. I don't care
I
anymore.
think she's going into NSFW territory.
Oh.
That steeper kind of makes it look like you're just dunking a tampon in there.
Complaints. Put up the complaints message.
Complaints that.
I mean,
Good
I did
night,
say
everybody.
I literally said it was nasty, and you guys said it
Yes,
was
she
okay.
did. We encourage you to go ahead. All right, back to the episode. So, so off they go to this planet to, of course, find out where Moff Gideon is, so he can send a really mean and nasty holo message. So, what was our general reaction to this episode as the penultimate episode of the season? Let's start with Travis and Lane.
As the penultimate episode of the season, I don't believe it had quite as strong a grip as the first season
Yep, I
had
agree.
when it came to the penultimate episode. When the penultimate episode of that show, that season came along, I was very much okay. Now things are getting serious because, if you guys recall, before then I was kind of like, this show is kind of a little formulaic. There's like, it's getting a little predictable. Mando is always coming across this guy who he helps and always gets betrayed by. With just a little like, okay, where's the show going? And then penultimate episode happened, and all of a sudden everything's going through the roof. And this episode was fine, but it just doesn't have the same impact so season should have when we're dealing. 8-episode season. Penultimate episode should have, if you ask me. Like, it was a fun story. There was some times where I was, I actually, by the time it ended, I was very much like, no, but like, it just didn't, like, it felt just, it lacked that emotional hit from last season, if you ask me.
Agreed. Sean.
Thank you. Okay. So my first impression was that Black is very slimming, and the accent was proven this week. He looked a lot more svelte in that black outfit, to the point where I thought it was somebody else in there. So that's why I wore black. I liked a lot about this episode. I agree with Travis to the extent that the second to last episode of last season it had a lot more weight to it, but there was so much happened that was good in this episode that I absolutely loved. So I'm giving it a pass on that because I think this episode everything they packed in here would have played better mid-season, but it did so well that on so many different levels that I'm giving it a pass for not having the gravitas it did. Because hell, the final scene where he literally repeated Moff Gideon's words back to him was the ultimate right there. So yeah, I really did love it.
Like I said, like when he's like, he means more to me than you'll ever know, I was very much like, oh
yeah. There was
Daddy Mando.
It was there was a lot of very big moments for him in this, and that even more important than his creed, he was willing to take off the helmet for the creed to show his face for the creed.
I have questions about that.
Yes, we'll get to them in a second. Ross. Oh wait, are you done, Sean?
Well, it's a matter of his self-realizations about this, self-awareness about what really is important to him now. It was really it was a pivotal moment for the character in general.
Yeah, for me, it was when they went through that village and he looked at that one kid and the kid looked at him. I was like, that was the moment. Ross, where do you weigh in?
There was a lot to like about this episode, though it was, like we've been saying, it didn't have the same impact as other episodes leading up to this. Although I think everything in this episode was leading up to that ultimatum to Moff Gideon, which boiled down to, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. So, and it was good to see the guy from the first season getting into that heist, making Mando kind of reflect on himself. The build up to that. It was fun to see a Juggernaut again, even if it is just a glorified cargo hauler in this case. And that payoff at the end where he completely. Well, first, I loved the scene where he was confronting his old CO, and when he brings up Operation Cinder, which, if you didn't figure it out during the episode, that was Palpatine's contingency plan to effectively raise the Empire after he dies. To order the Empire to burn itself to the ground.
Scorched earth.
Exactly. And obviously that was his turning point. He became an ex-Imperial after he saw the devastation that was Operation Cinder, which not just raised that village, but also Naboo and several other key planets. before it was eventually stopped. But
Ross, I got a question for you because you know far more about the Legends lore than I do. Was Mayfield a character in the Legends lore at all?
don't know.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
Because I mean, look, I really love Bill Burr. Bill Burr's a great comedian, and he's a great comedic actor, and he has a great stand-up routine too. If you guys ever get a chance, he's a blast. He's so irreverent, and I what I love about his inclusion in this episode. Okay, thank you. In the last episode he was in,
We love you, Aiden.
He brings a real level of I guess realistic humanity to Star Wars, because Star Wars is very much a fantasy. It's where he made it much more realistic. My favorite scene with him entirely, as much as I love the scene with what's his name? What was his name? Whatever his former CEO.
Bill.
Oh, right.
Bill's.
Yeah.
Bill's.
That scene was fantastic, but it was.
Thank you, Adam. Yes.
It was the conversation that he had with Mando, the very one-sided conversation he had with Mando in the hauler when they were driving there and explaining his perspective. And he made a lot of good points that were very relatable for anyone. And and he ultimately said that at the end of the day, you have to be able to go to sleep, be comfortable with yourself. And that I think it was a very good moment for understanding that character, and really it was a good moment for Mando for him to do some reflection for himself, because that's what it comes down to. It's not about a fucking creed. It's not about whose side you're on. It's about doing the right thing and being able to sleep with yourself, being able to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror. And
the mutual respect he had for Din after that moment passed, where he handed him his helmet. I never saw your face.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah, he didn't even have to say anything to him for him to say that.
Right.
Yeah, but everything just came together beautifully with that message to Moff Gideon at the end. It was so cathartic.
What a great bookend to the original scene with Moff Gideon.
Now get the band together and let's fuck them up.
Yep.
Well,
Mayfield did not appear in Legends.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Justin.
You're muted, man.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. I liked it overall. I do feel it was rushed a little bit. I don't know. It's Mandalorian's one of those where you got to watch the whole season to kind of get the gist of the story for everything. I mean, I liked the episode definitely, but yeah, there's so much to unpack with this. I want to know how exactly he's able to keep his hair in such pristine shape wearing the damn helmet all day.
Well, he's damn sexy. What do you want? That's what sexy is. Carlos, you're muted.
If you'll pardon the expression, my headcanon about that helmet is that it's all very self-regulating in there. So it's like air conditioned. It takes care of his hair. I mean, it does everything.
For the Scrubs fans, it's a hairmet.
But basically, they're supposed to be in those Mandalorians are supposed to wear those 24/7. So
well, no, he takes it. It's like right. He was asked when's the last time he took it off. He said yesterday. They just can't show their face anymore. He does it in private.
Because remember, he said there's a difference. Mayfeld did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, remember, he can drink in public. He's got like a little.
Yeah, it's been addressed.
He's also had his core beliefs challenged with Bo-Katan this season, right? Like he's met other Mandalorians who are like, I'm going to take my helmet off. And now Boba Fett, like who's the son of a foundling. So we definitely see that, like, there's a lot of things.
Still be a Mandalorian with your helmet off.
This is a journey of breaking down one's own cognitive dissonance. Is really what it comes down to. Well, it's what it's been.
Well, it's also about realizing what's important.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I mean, in a lot of ways, I've been thinking about this kind of experience has even like parallels my own journey in faith in a lot of ways.
I was going to say the same thing. I agree with you, Jason, on that. With me as well. Carry on, continue.
Where the core tenets are still there, right? The core tenets are still rock solid, but it's the veneer of religion that has kind of shrouded my, that I've been saddled with. It has washed away, so that and I think this is what we're seeing here. We're seeing him. What's important is holding to this creed important. The creed of the helmet important, which is veneer, or is it holding to the creed of protecting his foundling important? Like what because if he can't protect when these two things are in conflict, right? He can't protect Grogu with the helmet on,
right? Then
the real meat of the creed isn't about keeping the helmet on. It's about protecting the foundling. So he will lose part of that veneer of sacrament in order to carry out the intent of the creed.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
Oh God, no! That's just mean. That's mean to all of us. God. Hashtag too soon. Hashtag RIP.
I haven't even seen that series, and I kind of got that. I haven't even seen that series. Cue the groans.
It will take you like 2 days. It's only 16 episodes, so yeah, I mean, it's well worth it.
It is one of the best sci-fi shows ever made.
Yep.
See, I don't.
Greg, you're absolutely right.
Right.
It's a subpar penultimate.
Okay, so I've been gone. I'm going to go.
Go ahead.
I really like this episode. I don't think it was a subpar penultimate. I think it's setting up a different type of finale than the last one did, and I think that we can get into as a writer, in a series, you can get so obsessed about whether it's following other similar beats. This story again takes us from what happened in the last episode. We've lost Grogu. We have to figure out where he is. We have to build a team to go after him. This episode delivers on that. We get the Marshal. We've got Fennec. We have Boba Fett, and now we have the team. And hopefully, maybe we'll see either a Jedi show up, or or maybe Bo-Katan again. We're going to see, we get to next week's episode, and if this episode didn't go the way it was, you can't deliver that story the same way. Like this idea that it was weak. It wasn't weak. This was one of the most solid episodes of the season, in my opinion.
We're definitely getting Bo-Katan back. We're probably going to get Ahsoka back as well.
Possibly. That's what they did last season. But
Cobb Vanth, we're gonna see Cobb Vanth again.
I think he's got a ton of
Skywalker.
No.
I think that ship has sailed completely now.
Yep. Sorry, Justin and George.
Yep.
Either getting Ezra or Dark Forces, Kal Katarn.
Yeah,
Skywalker.
I think their MO is that they are bringing people in from Rebels, and they're going to keep up with that.
It's the one that makes me the most crazy is the Mace Windu one. It's like, why do you people think Mace Windu?
The last time I trusted someone, I lost a hand.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I think when we think about the direction Disney is going with these series.
Oh God, no, Adam.
I think that it makes sense to Carlos's point, right? We have what was announced. We have an Ahsoka show announced. We have the what do you call it?
You basically have Cops of the Republic,
right?
The Rangers, yeah.
Rangers assemble.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing is, with the end of this season, going into next season, we'll be spinning off these other shows and filling out the universe more.
Disney desperately trying to compete with CBS.
I don't think it's desperate at all. They've got a great.
Yeah, I don't think
They've got a great property here that it has been underutilized. If we're being fair about this, has been underutilized for the vast majority of its 40 plus year existence. You've got a property that literally was designed to profit off of its merchandising. Is basically what it comes down to with Star Wars. Okay, and whereas the Disney approach. The Disney approach has been that now they've come to the conclusion that we can now make this property can stand alone on its media, alone on its content, and let the merchandising come later. Okay, and let it not be the sole, not let the merchandising be the sole point of the property. I remember when the Toys That Made Us came out, the episode about. The first episode was about Star Wars, and it said that the Star Wars movies had made half the amount that the merchandising, the toys specifically, had made. So, I mean, that tells you what their long-term goals for that franchise was. And it's now it's a different era that really want the content.
Except they didn't have toys ready to go at the launch of the show. Of the
That's
movie.
Right,
They released a card that said if you buy this card you'll get these. So they weren't.
I'm saying George Lucas' intent for the property was that's why he made the deal to give 20th Century Fox the distribution rights, and while he was able to keep all the merchandising rights. That's why that was done, was because he didn't care about the movies as much as he cared about making money on the.
But if you watch the show, if you watch the Toys That Made Us, they didn't see the idea of toys was lost on him until the very last hour, and that's when the Kenner guys came in and kind of said we can do it.
They gave him 2.5 cents on the dollar is what they gave. It was what they gave him. But the point being is that after some time, Lucas realized that's where the money was in this franchise, was in the merchandising, and that's really what the focus has been. So,
and there you have it. Okay, let's get back to the episode. Son.
Okay, so I disagree with the majority of you and have to agree with Jason, but for different reasons, but also kind of similar reasons. This actually was as impactful as last season's penultimate episode. It was just more psychological than it was action and pew 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 pew. Because what we're seeing is this fundamental change in the Mandalorian, like we keep talking about, but it's not something that is, how do I explain it? He realizes he's caring about the kid. Yet at the same time, they're going to pick up a person who he thinks is probably the worst person in the world, which is the whole conversation of them in the transport. Mm-hmm. And in that conversation, even though the Mandalorian doesn't say anything, you have Mayfield going, look, sometimes you just have to shoot a dude in the fucking head to survive. It doesn't matter who that other person is, you're still going to have to do it. But at the end of the day, if you can sleep with that, then you can get through. You can move on.
Right.
And in all of this, there was even in the prisons, or even in the refinery stuff, you see this kind of unfolding of Mayfield where, yeah, sure, he's ex-Imperial and yeah, he's taken bad jobs, but dude loathes the Empire, like extremely so,
for good reason.
And yeah, for good reason. All of his blood brothers were practically blown up in Operation Cinder, and that was his commander, safe somewhere behind a desk, not giving a shit. And to be able to confront the commander like he did, even though Mando did what he did, being able to confront the commander like that was, and this is where I have to agree with you, Carlos. That's the linchpin that changed the Mandalorian. That's where the Mandalorians, all of that stuff kind of went, okay, I get it now. That was the change for him more than anything. Because even up until that point, he's still kind of acting like he's just here to do the job. And it's at that point where there's that confrontation, specifically because Mayfield just got through telling the Mandalorian, "That's my old commander. I wonder if I can't do this because he'll recognize me." That I don't know. I guess it's just good acting, or maybe it was unintentional. That's where it looked like it clicked for Pascal in Pascal's acting without the helmet. And by the way, all you people out there who said, he wanted to quit because he couldn't take off his helmet, bullshit.
Ridiculous. Yeah, I wanted to go on, if I could, just before I lose my train of thought on this, Travis. I want to comment on what you just said about he wasn't sure if the commander would recognize him or not, and that is dovetails with his conversation with him, where he basically realizes that there's no way this guy would recognize me, because to him we were all just faceless automatons and just cannon fodder. You piece of shit. And so that was very important. That those two scenes were very important for that.
And then there was the explanation, the kind of the divulging of the plan, of the reason for this refinery, and Mayfield, in all of his distaste for the Empire, is like, I'm not going to let that happen. I mean, even when he was killing even when he just pulls out his blaster and shoots the commander, you see that in Bill Burr's eyes. I'm not going to let that happen. There's no way I'm letting that happen. He just got through talking to the Mandalorian about, these are just people who are living their life, fighting their own fight and all this kind of shit just to survive. He's not going to let that happen. So yeah, I really think this was as much, if not more, impactful episode than last season's penultimate.
I guess where I'm coming from when I say I don't think it's as impactful is the fact that, like, when you compare it to last season, that one, like, it focused more on characters that we had been introduced to, and the plot was starting to, come together, and it was starting to, to branch more into, like, developing the characters and whatnot. And with here, I need to be clear, I enjoyed this story. I thought it was very well told, and I agree with everything you guys are saying as far as, like, hey, like, Mayfield's here and his motivations here are very, emotional. They're very, like, it's actually really well executed for a Star Wars story. And I guess, like, the one thing that just kind of feels off about it for me is the fact that it just kind of comes out of left field. There really was, like, before the episode recap, I didn't know who Mayfield, I didn't remember who he was. Like, I didn't think we'd be seeing him again after that prison episode last season. Like, I didn't really see him coming back. And so, like, while I like the story here, it just, like, it felt like it just felt like a little too mid-season, if that makes sense for me.
But we were told in the last episode we were going to get Mayfield back.
I didn't. But the thing is, I didn't know who Mayfield was until the episode recap.
Oh no! I mean, okay. But that's not. But they didn't. That's not the writer's fault. They, if you paid attention and you were, the character was introduced last season. He's part of the universe. And it was a good episode too. Like, it was a callback to a good episode. And again, we get in this episode, we don't get the action. We get like Sun said, this is the character development episode. This is where Din Djarin says, you know what? This kid is more important to me than this effing helmet and people seeing my effing head. And I'm going to take it off because that's what I need to do to save this kid. That is a major turning point in this character, and that to me is, again, it spoke to me in all kinds of levels, but based on my own journey of faith, and I think it's and I think it is one of the.
Please
I
turn.
think that's a really cool metaphor it's a really cool metaphor to use.
Yeah. I
Later, Adam.
I think that for me, this episode made me realize that everything leading up to this again was about his own spiritual journey for his own growth, and that's why this while not following the same pattern as last season's penultimate episode, that's why this episode worked so well for me, is because it kind of like flipped it on its head for me. It's like it finally hit me what's going on here, what this is all leading up to. So, it was a master stroke, and I obviously worked incredibly well.
Okay, whom haven't we heard from? Ross?
That was the first one.
Oh, Justin.
Not the first, but you've already talked to me.
Justin.
So who's watching the Jabba's Palace sequence?
The what now?
I mean, I just heard the lady singer from Jabba's Palace.
Oh, the boys are.
Oh.
God,
That might get.
you're watching something with on YouTube.
Are they watching the Ewok Adventures?
No, they're watching somebody.
I actually like the Ewok Adventure.
I know
that first TV
You
movie
weird person.
with the little girl who looks like a wee.
yes.
What's her name? Anyway, I like that one. I mean, I've only seen it the one time when it first aired, but
Who the hell thought it was a good idea to add a random musical number to Return of the Jedi?
George
Lucas.
Same one behind the
Job.
Christmas special.
Yeah, ouch. Okay, Justin, did you weigh in on the episode?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it did.
we've gotten to everyone then.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so for my part on the pacing thing, I'm still of the opinion that pacing-wise, it was off for the season. Although I acknowledge, son, what you said, which is true, that I think there was a lot of important character moments and development in this episode. But I felt for the broader arc of the season, it just felt like another heist episode, with some added value to it, but it didn't feel like a penultimate episode, except at the very end when he delivers the message. That made it feel more like ominous things are about to happen, kind of a thing. So that's where I fell on it.
So
Were you
we
gonna
got
say something, Justin?
What?
Were you going to say something, Justin?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
So
son.
we got humanized Imperials.
Yeah, I like that.
That was actually kind of a nice touch.
Yeah. And those are all people from the 501st. If
Glory to the Empire.
viewers didn't know. Yeah.
Now, are you sure about that, Justin? That those
From
are-
what I understand it, that's all they've been using for casting extras wise.
I only know.
I think that was only true for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, that was the last 2 episodes of last season. They needed a bunch of bucketheads. So yeah, I don't think that's the case with this.
One of the things that took me out of this episode, it's the same thing, and the more I think about it, the more crazy it drives me. It's just the idea that, because one of the things I did after I watched this episode, I watched an old episode of Clone Wars. And, and I was watching like the Clone Wars stormtroopers and going, these guys were actually pretty smart and they knew how to fucking aim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to shit after that. It's just like, what's going on?
You're talking about the clone troopers? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the clone troopers.
Right, because as I understand the lore in this is that after the Empire took over, they were trying to get away from the clones. They were trying, and the only ones that were left were the 501st. Mm-hmm. So they went basically to a conscription model, and that's where the problems with the quality of their forces started rearing its ugly head.
Well, and of course, which I never really bought, but then you look at something like, oh, all we have to go is to, march up to any old computer terminal in this base, and then anybody, as long as they got the right stick to put into it, can find out where Moff Gideon is. And it just didn't seem very realistic to me. There was like no computer security there. And then the fact that it scanned his face and it still let him do it.
Yeah,
This didn't make any
find
sense
that a
to
bit
me.
odd.
Yeah, I didn't
That-
care.
that
Yeah.
wasn't odd.
I let it slide. I felt the same, but I let it slide. So,
I mean,
It just
actually,
becomes,
like,
so
it
that's
just becomes
okay.
yet another one of those instances where the Empire is just so incompetent.
if we're gonna talk about security issues in science
Exhaust
fiction,
ports.
I will be ripping on Star Trek the original series all fucking night.
Okay,
well.
we're talking about the same empire that had an exhaust port big enough for a full-time torpedo to go down to its damn power core.
Yeah, but that's
And wait. So
That's not that
Not
unrealistic.
once,
that
but
was the
twice.
wait. No. The first one was just the size of a photon torpedo. The second one was the size of the freaking Millennium Falcon. That at some point you would have thought, like after they blew up the first Death Star, okay, maybe we don't put a big huge tunnel down to the main reactor.
Yes. So that's where I stand on this.
Is
Okay,
Rock okay?
I don't know. He got up and
I
ran,
think-
so I
yeah.
muted.
I don't know.
Maybe he had to go to the bathroom. Did he say anything? No.
He didn't. He,
No,
Um,
I'm gonna.
There he
Oh,
is.
there he is.
There he is.
There you are. We were
Unmute
worried
him.
about you, Ross.
what happened?
Are you okay?
My 3-year-old woke up and was running around the living
Oh,
room.
there you go.
Oh,
That's
that's why he ran. Okay, yeah. What was singing ran, and I was like, oh, I better mute.
Yeah, sorry for the abrupt run, but I had to
What?
go make sure he was okay.
It looked
Did I
like
wake him up with a loud "Stop it"?
He knows how to open his baby gate. So yeah.
Oh,
Oh my God, he's a
Oh,
velociraptor.
He's already too smart to be an Imperial stormtrooper.
But he's back in bed.
Curses,
Everything's
world by
okay.
Gates.
He didn't get he didn't get into anything. So
good.
my
Good.
cardio.
I actually buy that the Imperial Stormtroopers and the Imperials themselves are dumb. I mean, like the whole idea of like what happened to the Empire after if you've read Legends or read, I mean, like I go to the Timothy Zahn series where I can't believe I just Thrawn was so pissed at Palpatine because it turns out that he was mind controlling, all the effective stormtroopers, so that when he died, basically that's why the Executor turned around and crashed into the Death Star. So I mean, like it goes to like Palpatine wanted mindless soldiers. They wanted that because
Right.
that way they would be bending to Palpatine's will, and Palpatine could basically control any stormtrooper in the galaxy, through the Force remotely, and that he saw fit.
And the fighters.
Yep.
He was using battle meditation to control his fleets down from the capital ships down to TIE fighters.
He's trying to. The true collapse of the Empire is that he tried to micromanage this bureaucracy. Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's why he needed big weapons.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess so.
Slightly overcompensated.
Big weapons, small.
Lightsaber.
Knock it off.
So let's
Knock it
let's
off.
talk about the let's talk about
Go ahead, son.
the episode itself versus the concept art at the end of the episode, because I think there's something in that they changed before filming that they had originally intended to have.
The only thing that I noticed in that was the juggernauts. Is that what they call yeah. That in the concept art they were like on the edge of on a cliff, not just on a road like they ended up being in the episode. That's the only thing I saw, but I didn't look very closely. What else was there?
Okay, so the skiffs that are attacking the Juggernaut in the concept art are the same humanoid characters from the village, not the aliens that showed up.
Yep.
Well, there was also one of, unless Carlos, you mentioned, where Din is still in his Mandalorian armor getting onto the Juggernaut.
Oh, in the concept art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't pay attention to that.
My point is that I think they originally intended the episode to be basically the townsfolk or the people of the planet trying to fight back against the Empire instead of it being pirates trying to. Because why would pirates be blowing up this volatile substance? Wouldn't they be trying to steal it?
Steal it. I thought about that, and yeah, and
I know why they did it. I know why they did it.
That when it was clear that they were losing, they kept going for it, which didn't make sense to me because pirates are profit oriented. So
yeah, that's
at least the ones really dangerous are.
Which is why looking at the concept art and seeing these like human characters on the skiffs made me think. I really think that they were trying to make these people into like freedom fighters, but then at the same time, it would kind of look bad to have the Mandalorian be kicking the ass of some poor ass people that he just went through a town full of.
That's exactly.
I assumed that they were a group of insurgents from a different village.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have known that necessarily.
It's what I assumed because, like we said, the pirate thing really didn't make sense.
They couldn't kill off these downtrodden villagers that they had just humanized for us through that slow drive-throughs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a missed opportunity. Again, like I
it
think
is.
That,
I agree that it is a missed opportunity because using it would only punctuate the point that sometimes you have to do things you're not proud of.
Yeah, but that's very un-Disney.
Well, Jason, go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, I still hold in my head. I mean, these weren't pirates. No matter even though they said they were pirates, these weren't pirates. They weren't trying to get away with the goods. They were trying to blow up the goods. They were terrorists trying to blow, or freedom fighters. I mean, one man's terrorist, another man freedom fighter. Remember, Major Kira. She was a hero to some, of terrorist to others. And a secret lust thing for Dakota Kai. Anyway, so they were freedom fighters. They were freedom fighters from another village because they didn't want to put the human freedom fighters there because it would have made our heroes look like bad guys. But again, sometimes you have to do the bad thing for the ultimate win. They knew what this stuff was. They knew what this stuff was going to be used for. They were just using this as a means to get into the village, and their life, they were fighting for their lives, not they weren't trying to kill these villagers. They were fighting for their own lives. And I think it would have been really an interesting moral dilemma to have had this. This isn't a show where we have time to pontificate, though, and that's why I think they went with the more alien.
I agree. That would have seriously derailed the plot of this episode. It's not long. And how long was this episode, by the way?
38 minutes.
38 minutes.
Yeah, that's.
They've really cut these short this season. They were a lot longer last season.
No, we had short episodes last season.
Some were longer than others, but they're mostly within the half-hour range.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Other thoughts? Big or small?
The letting of Mayfield go. That was clever. That was
that was cute. That was
That was a nice moment.
Yep, he's technically dead, so no living man has seen his face.
It also
mostly dead.
It also means that he can
not quite dead.
It also means that he can further disrupt the Empire's operations on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering, where's he going to go?
That's exactly what I thought. Where's he going to go?
Hell.
I mean, it's not like you can call Uber. He's kind of stuck out there. So.
But it's better. It's better to be stuck.
Much left after he, detonated those two juggernauts.
Right. Exactly. That was a hidden facility. I mean, I guarantee there's no more floating around there. So he's going to go native. What's going to happen here?
Maybe he'll go native. Who cares? He's not. He's not in a scrapyard taking apart TIE fighters with a thing attached to his ankle.
What's interesting? He was kind of resigned to it, which I kind of thought was cool. It's like more like I made my bed, not going to lie in it type thing.
Yeah, I was thinking as he walked away, it's like, this is better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Well, I was thinking he was like that with the thought of going back to prison, even while he was in prison. That hey, this is, I am where I am. That's what it is.
Hey, Kara promised him a better view. He got one.
Sure as hell got one.
Indeed. Okay. Any final thoughts?
Looking
No,
forward to next week.
yeah,
All right.
that's it.
Yeah. Let's see what he does. Okay. Oh, last quick thing I wanted to just bounce off you guys, see your reactions. The announcement yesterday about all the bazillion Star Wars series that are going to be being produced for Disney Plus, as
Oh,
they announced in their
crap.
investor call.
I did think of something else.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It was really nice to see the sonic bomb again.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
I was like, didn't they have that little seismic charge in Attack of the Clones? And
They did.
I love that sound effect, by the way. That is a
It was a good
gorgeous
sound effect.
It's great
Mhm.
because everything goes dead silent. I love that.
I love that thing.
That was great in the theater. even though I
No,
hate that.
Travis,
Oh,
you
yeah.
cannot have one.
What?
Damn it.
No, Travis, you cannot have one.
Have one what?
A sonic bomb.
A sonic charge
Why would I want one?
to shut us all up.
So one of the
You guys are
things
too clever for me sometimes.
the piece
You gotta-
of news. Did you guys see the? Hold on.
Me
Did you
too.
guys?
Go ahead,
Did you guys
Jason.
see the announcement of Star Wars Lando?
Yes.
Yes.
I missed that one.
Yeah. There's.
I
Do you
wanna-
want me to read you the list?
Yeah.
Well,
Go
here,
for
let me
it.
find the graphic.
Star
Hit
Wars
it.
Ahsoka, Star Wars Andor, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Lando, Star Wars The Bad Batch, Star Wars The Acolyte, and Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic. That's 7.
It's not just Star Wars that they announced.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
yeah,
that's
like-
a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
She-Hulk,
I am very
Pinocchio.
curious about Zootopia's animated series. I'm
What?
curious.
That's your big one.
No, like of the stuff that isn't Star Wars, yeah, that one grabbed my attention.
Why
because
do you want to see a
Okay. All right, we got it.
Oh, okay. I see what he's getting at.
I like
Hayden
Zootopia. It was my favorite film
Ah.
of 2016.
That's a good
Indeed.
film.
So, what are your reactions? 7 new Star Wars series, some more Marvel Universe series. Is Disney overreaching? Are we going to have too much Star Wars?
No.
What do you think?
Star Wars.
There was this,
That's
Star
what I
Wars.
think. Star Wars.
Star Wars.
so there was this question that was asked of is Disney desperate or whatever? Kind of. I would say kind of.
Hey,
I say it from the fact that they're throwing as much money in as they can into streaming because they can't make it in their park.
Mhm. Or the
Yeah.
theaters.
I think they have seen the success of the Star Trek universe. I think they've seen, 3 seasons of Discovery. They've seen, that expanding, and I think like Gene Rod, like the Paramount executives saying, why aren't we making a Star Trek movie after Star Wars came out? I think the Disney executives are like, why aren't we making Star Wars TV shows after seeing, kind of the success of Discovery and Picard and and they already had some of this in motion before. I mean, we already had Obi-Wan, we had
Mhm.
this, and I think it's a natural extension. My concern is that a lot of this is kind of set in the same era,
Mhm.
right? And my fear, like one of the things that so far of the series that we have, each of them are unique. From the Star Trek side are unique. They have their own tone, they have their own setting, they have their own time. Propelling Discovery to the 32nd century means we have 3 unique Star Trek live action series and 3 unique different time eras. So you're not getting a lot of overlap. They all have their own unique and feel. Discovery was kind of the mission of the season. Picard is kind of the mystery of the season. It looks like Strange New Worlds will be the plan of the week. I think the number of series we're getting is, can each one feel like they're their own thing and be stand apart from the others. If they can, then I think 7 series is fine. If they can't, then I think it's going to become overkill, like in the days of the Berman track.
well, have you seen the first look at Andor, which is, by the way, well into production apparently, and we had no idea. If you see that, one of the things that caught my attention is the amount of practical sets they're building for it. So it seems
Was that all from Andor, or was a lot of that from Rogue One?
No, that was from Andor because he was talking about it. He was talking about all the stuff they've built, so yeah. As far as I understand, that was all from Andor.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about Rogue One when I watched. I thought it felt like he was talking about the Rogue One stuff. I could be mistaken, but that's the impression I had.
No,
See, here's the wonderful thing about Star Wars sets. They can be like Star Trek sets, to be repurposed for just about as many things you can think of, as many times as you need them, whatever you need them for. They're wonderfully modular.
yeah, but the thing about it is that's totally different from the way that the Mandalorian was done, where there have been very, very little physical sets and it's been mostly done on the volume.
Mhm.
So
Well, they probably can't afford to have like every single show.
well, no, I mean they can adapt it. I mean, as I understand this, that there's nothing. And Favreau came right out and said that there's nothing proprietary about this process they're doing at all.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of combining existing technologies together to make it work. So it's pretty feasible to
Who's eating?
have another volume. I think he's typing. Is he? Okay. It's not unfeasible to have the volume, but I'm just noticing that there is a lot. They're really building some serious physical sets from what it looked like in that trailer, and that trailer at the first look. So yeah, I mean, I think the franchise, if they can find a way to make each series distinguish itself from each other, that they'll do fine. And I don't necessarily like the fact that, or dislike the fact that they are keeping it within a certain era and not going outside of one. And good point, Greg. We'll talk about that in a moment, because I think what they're realizing is that there is a certain era here that really works. Clone Wars and Rebels really worked. It's really Rogue One really worked for them. The Mandalorian has really worked. I don't expect them to go far out beyond the Skywalker saga or anything like that. I'm Resistance for a lot of fans did not work.
Don't you think that ultimately is a self-defeating truth? Compare with Star Trek. I mean, very different settings, time frames, etc. They really worked to minimize, even during the Berman era. They worked to minimize a lot of cross. They would have the occasional, episodes where crossovers. Thank you. But mostly they were deliberately set in places where they were out of one another's way. I just feel like at some point they're going to run out of room. They
may, but I think they really have the best people right now working with the franchise.
I won't disagree with that.
So
I also think that the Berman era's Star Trek missed opportunities because they wanted to be so separate and not get in each other's way. Like, I mean, in the Dominion War, we didn't see Sovereign class starships. That just isn't realistic.
It's
right.
weird.
Right. We didn't see the Intrepids in the Dominion War. Again, these were frontline vessels that should have been there.
I did see one.
We saw one Intrepid.
You saw Jaeger class, which is
we saw the Bella Porn.
The Bolero.
Bolero. It wasn't in battle. That was a
It was
diplomatic. And in one episode of TNG, the crew visited Deep Space Nine, and we only saw 2 cast members from that series on the show.
Yeah, it's just like you had opportunities to set up for much more crossover, and they didn't take him. And I think it's a reflection of just the Berman era productions just pissing away opportunity.
Yep. I can't
and
disagree with that either.
overlapping and competing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other.
It really was weird, this notion that the flagship of the Enterprise was non-existent during the Dominion War.
They were off taking care of diplomatic duties.
Right.
And then,
That's ridiculous.
That's what you want your battleship to be, your biggest battleship.
They liberated Beta Z.
And then you go
Right.
from seeing the only
Off screen.
every ship's a Constitution class starship to just seeing the Enterprise in the movies.
Now imagine Waxana as a rebel insurgent fighting the Dominion on Beta Z.
In the books.
She would have been too busy. She would have been too busy boinking the Jem'Hadar.
Actually, in the books, that happened.
Jem'Hadar,
She
there are no
wouldn't be
Jem'Hadar
boinking-
women. They have no interest in
She
women.
wouldn't be boinking Jem'Hadar. She'd
Just
just boink
drugs.
Florida.
Yeah, there you go.
Going back to Star Wars, I'll go ahead.
Thank you,
7.
Travis.
Of the 7 shows that were announced, I am really only kind of curious about 3 of them. I am totally on board for a series around Ahsoka. I have plenty of times said that Ahsoka is my favorite Jedi. Her character is just really well done throughout the Clone Wars, and she's one of the big reasons I say you gotta watch it. Just go watch it. I'm also and as a big fan of the Clone Wars as I am looking forward to see what they do with the Bad Batch. That was a surprisingly fun arc for the final season of Clone Wars, and I'll check out Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, he's a cool Jedi, so I don't really know what Andor is, and I just don't really care about Lando, and
I don't care about Lando either.
Yeah, Lando's is kind of but we're going to watch it because we're all Star Wars nerds.
I don't know. I haven't even.
I'm not that interested in.
I'm gonna watch Lando just for the robot sex.
There you go.
Unfortunately, to get the full Ahsoka picture, you've got to watch the Clone Wars animated
And Rebels.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just
Baby Hutt.
with Lando, it feels a little too much like Disney is throwing whatever they can at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's what it feels. That's what it feels like for me.
I don't know. I think
are we gonna get Donald Glover to
yeah. I mean,
reprise the
if
role?
you get Donald Glover, and I think they are. I mean, I don't think they would have announced this if they didn't have Donald Glover.
I agree with that.
You get Donald Glover to do this thing, and
He's the only one who could pull it off. You're right.
Yeah,
and listen, I'm a straight guy, but he has this weird just pansexual appeal about him, it's intoxicating in a lot of ways. I think you're going to get a lot of. I think it's. I have a.
He's the new prince.
Yes, in a lot of ways, he is the new prince, and he's more masculine than Prince was. But
women love him, men want to be him.
Oh my!
And if you haven't watched Community, go watch it.
Yep, without question.
Okay, any final thoughts on any of the 7 new Star Wars shows before we move on to our final?
There are 52 new shows coming to Disney
know.
Plus.
We're
You guys
going to
know-
need a bigger show.
52!
We're gonna need a
All
bigger
of them are
streaming
genre
show.
shows, be they Disney, Marvel, or Star Wars.
Okay. Look,
Holy
hey.
shit!
And another season of High School Musical, the series.
Oh,
No.
good.
Ah.
Okay, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter
Indiana
Soldier, Loki,
Jones.
Hawkeye, What If, Ironheart! We're getting Ironheart!
Indiana
Ross is very
Jones.
excited.
Indiana Jones and the
Ironheart
Walker
is the
Crusade.
Iron Man. Her name is Riri Williams. She builds her own Iron Man suit, becomes a protege of Tony Stark, and becomes her own character and hero in her own right.
Okay.
We're also getting Secret Invasion, Armor Wars.
I just hope they write.
Armor Wars.
I just hope that they write Ironheart a whole hell of a lot better than they did the comic book.
War
Okay,
Machine.
wait, one at a time.
Calm down. Calm
We're getting a
down.
show led by War Machine.
I got
Okay.
it.
Ugh. Not interested in that myself, but son.
What if?
I really
What if
really
it's-
hope if they're doing an Ironheart series, I really hope that they have some better writing than that comic book, because good lord, some of the inconsistency in Ironheart was.
Yeah, that is a shame. But we're
That's
also
it,
getting
Trevor.
Secret Wars, the Skrull Invasion.
The hell?
We're getting a Buzz Lightyear show starring. Oh dang it! Where to go? Where to go?
No. Only. There's only one person that can play Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Jason on this. I don't like the fact that they changed Buzz.
I mean, it's not the first time we've had another person voicing Buzz Lightyear.
You guys see the Loki trailer?
Oh
No,
my
I don't
god,
care.
that was badass.
I had no interest in Loki until I saw that trailer. Now I can't.
Yeah, Because it's going. You hear him call for his brother. You know that means we're going to be
Okay,
getting Thor in it.
So I have a thing about Loki. Okay, so the guy who plays Loki, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to play Loki.
Sorry.
You know who I want? You know who I want? You know who I want to play Loki? The guy who played Floop from the first Spy Kids.
I don't know what that is.
Spy Kids.
Chris
There's
Evans
also
is
that
playing
new.
Blitz.
There's also that new sort of Spy
Shark
Kid
Boy and Lava Girl. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. What is the name of that show? It's
The-
premiering soon, or
I
has
think
premiered.
it's the continuing or the New Adventures or
No.
continuing.
It's
Adventures, or-
their kids, and all the superheroes in their world have been like aliens have done something to them, and so all the kids of the superheroes, including the children of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, band together as sort of their own like we Justice League kind of a thing. What is the name of it? I just saw a trailer for it a few days ago. Does this resonate with anyone? Does anyone?
I knew it was announced. I didn't.
I
look
saw there's someone shared a post to it in a group. Which, by the way, shout out to Bree, our wonderful Super Geeks moderator. She has been keeping up on the trailers and just posting them left and right as they come out. But yeah, I haven't actually watched the trailer for it. I'm going to actually look for it later. But
it's called We Can Be Heroes.
Okay.
Forever and ever.
It begins. It's a Netflix series starting January 1st. That's what it is.
Netflix. Now that means only last 2 seasons, and then they'll cancel it.
Thankfully.
We've been ranting for 3 hours. What's wrong with us?
I don't know. We had a lot to talk about this week, but okay. Let's wind up with our final segment that we do every week. What are we watching? And let's keep it short since we're already at just about 3 hours. So let's start this week with Ensign Beard Fossé.
There's a show on HBO Max called The Undoing, which stars Hugh Grant, and why am I forgetting her name?
Tom Cruise's former wife, Nicole Kidman.
And let me tell you, I now know how cold she could be in a divorce. It's really compelling. Like, I think I'm at 2 episodes before the finale, and I don't know. I don't know it could be anybody. I'm digging these HBO Max like miniseries that are around crime drama, and you don't know, and they're doing a really good job with them. And so, between that and the Flight Attendant, which I'm on a weekly basis, so I have like just 2 more weeks left before that's done. So, yep, it's mine.
Right. Great, Justin.
I finished up watching SG1 to rewatch. It's a little fun. I've been playing Elite Dangerous quite a bit. I'm going to end up getting the Odyssey expansion, which is coming soon. So I've been trying to get back into the game. It reminds me a lot of Freelancer. I don't know if anyone has ever messed around with that, but it definitely has a lot of Freelancer callings now. It's actually got quite fun if I don't quit crashing or getting blown up or, otherwise. But, yeah. Other than that, I haven't really watched anything else other than Discovery or Mandalorian this week, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, Sean.
The West Wing. It's all I've been watching.
Before it disappears from Netflix.
Yeah, even though it's going to HBO Max, it's like I got hooked on it, and I realized how much better the second season is than the first season already, and about halfway through. And I really liked the first season, but the second season is so much better. It's like leaps and bounds better.
Yeah.
So, I really am just. It's the West Wing is like a warm blanket and a cup of hot cocoa.
Holistically, the second season's better, but the first season still has, I think, some of the best episodes of the series.
There are a couple of just incredibly stellar episodes within that first season, without question. But overall, it's been such a beautiful ride. I'm at the point. Spoilers, I know, 20 years later, but I'm at the point in the second season. The last episode I went through was where and why am I drawing a blank on Josh? When Josh, you know how Josh got shot I just
Oh,
finished. I just finished the Christmas episode where he went with that. He got done with that therapy.
Oh, the therapist was so great in that.
Adam Arkin was fucking brilliant in that,
Yeah.
and it was
And
just.
I'm glad they brought him back several other times.
It was such a wonderful episode because it's so far too often we talk about this all the time about events happening in television shows that do not have consequences down the line, and this addressed those very serious and traumatic consequences of that event, and they did it in a very human way, very relatable way, and it was just wonderful.
Execute Order 66.
Your kids are killing you. Wait, Sean.
No, he's gone already.
No.
Gone.
Short attention span. Okay, over to you, Ross.
Yeah. I really haven't watched much of anything aside from Discovery and Mando this week because the finals are over at last.
Congratulations.
Yay! You can be human again.
But I did get a chance to finally start streaming again this week, and yesterday I spent about 3.5 hours playing an early access game called Atlas Rogues. It's a turn-based tactics roguelike set in the universe of Atlas Reactor, kind of futuristic. High technology, people can resurrect from being dead, but the reactor that powers everything is about to explode. You get caught in that explosion and get sent back 30 days into the past, and now you're in a time loop trying to fix everything, constantly fighting, dying, exploding, starting again.
Everything blows up real good, it
Yay!
sounds like.
Oh, yeah. It's got a very fun cast of characters that are a blast to play and to experience and to interact with. It's a fun game all around that's in a very, 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 very early stage of development, hence early access.
Okay.
So if you want to check that out,
we'll keep our eyes peeled.
if you're watching on Twitch, you're already in the right place. Everybody else, twitch.tv/live_love_play. That's
the man. Justin.
You already went with me, but I'm also watching Evil Travis.
Well, that's where we're going next is Evil T sipping Travis and Lane. What have you been watching this week, Travis and Lane?
Stir, whip, stir, whip, 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 stir, stir, whip, stir, whip, 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 stir, stir, whip, whip, whip. All right. So I kept my word to Sean. I watched the fucking Star Wars Holiday Special, and I did it by pranking the Star Trek group today. I said, "Hey, 2020 sucks. Let's have some fun with this," and I just threw it on, and it was an hour and a half of
you will
pain.
never get back.
It was pain. Like here's the two things I took away from it. One, how is it that cartoon Boba Fett is somehow better than his entire role in the original trilogy? And two, as painful as this special was, I'd still watch it again over the next generation's Justice.
Is that the episode with the half naked people and Wesley being?
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, I love that episode.
That episode.
What is it with you and half naked men, Jason?
I didn't see anything about half naked men.
Where is this coming from? Jason's so all over the place tonight. God.
No, but that episode was like, I loved it because it put Picard up like against like Crusher and the Prime Directive, and it would have been great if Wesley would have been killed.
Keyword would have been great. It was terrible. It was cringy. It was bad. It is.
He walked on the grass.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't being accused. He broke the glass, not because he walked on Star Trek. Hey, it's still better. It's still better than what's it called?
Code of Honor.
Code of Honor. Yeah,
I will watch Code of Honor over Justice.
Okay.
Really? I'm not sure I'd go there.
Like, look. Racial issues aside,
we need to finish up, folks. So let's move on to. I know I'm a bad person. Travis.
You just went with me.
Right, I meant Son.
How do you confuse those two?
Are you confusing me for Travis now?
They're right next to each other on my gallery thing here.
Carlos needs new glasses.
Because I was going around and anyway, go ahead, Son.
Okay, so I really wish we did the show tomorrow instead of today. Or what? Well, I say tomorrow as in Sunday, not Friday into Saturday, because I kind of want to watch I kind of want to watch a Recipe for Seduction and get back to you guys. Just for the
Yeah, for the folks at
for the
home
what
who
the
don't
fuck
know,
factor.
yeah, for the folks at home who don't know what she's talking about the
Lifetime original
Lifetime
movie,
original
sponsored
mini
by
movie.
KFC.
starring Mario. What the hell is his last name?
Lopez.
Lopez as Colonel Sanders, sultry Colonel Sanders.
Let's not-
A
let's not
recipe for seduction.
Speaking of Mario Lopez, and I don't mean to exacerbate the show at all, but speaking of Mario Lopez, has anybody watched the Saved by the Bell reboot?
I can't bring myself to do it.
I had to be stoned to watch that. I can't get stoned, so I'm not going to be watching it.
I don't have Peacock Premium, but the first episode was glorious.
Really?
Yes.
In what kind of
In
way?
what way?
Everything you'd want from a Saved by the Bell reboot, this except unfortunately for Mr. Belding, this show delivered.
I thought it had no Screech.
Do you really want Screech?
Well, no,
Really?
but
Exactly. Everything you want from a Saved by the Bell reboot, except for
Okay.
Mr. Belding, this thing delivers. It gives us a perfectly scummy Zach Morris, a perfectly scummy Mac Morris, and a hero or a title character, the main character who's having to navigate the who's from the hood, who's having to navigate the privilege of all of her classmates. It's just, I mean, it's
all right, I will
campy and
watch
cheesy as hell.
one episode. I'll watch one episode.
Again, like-
what I
It's
did
like
watch
Tiger
this
King.
week. So what I did watch this week was a YouTuber called Video Game Animation Study. He's been slowly doing a series. Every Halloween, he'll release a new video or two, covering moving away from animation to cover the atmosphere of the series Metroid, of the different Metroid games, and it's been fascinating. Because it talks, one of them is about Metroid Fusion, which is one of my favorite games.
Same.
And it talks about how instead of using fear, the game uses tension to create fear or create the illusion of fear. And I love the Metroid franchise, and it's been a beautiful thing to just sit and watch from the first game all the way up into the Prime series at this point.
Okay. And I think that's everyone but me, right?
Yep.
So, so I'm going to tell you one that I'm completely embarrassed about, and I don't know why I watched this show. I mean, I watched my regular stuff, so I watched, his Dark Materials, which is getting better by the episode. I'm watching the new Hardy Boys on Hulu, which has been it's kind of good. I've watched Big Sky on ABC, which I went to school in Montana, so I kind of like almost anything set in Montana. And it's they had the end of their first episode had this huge twist, which I won't spoil, other than to say it was completely unexpected, and I loved it. But my first new thing this week was a show on Netflix. It's been out, I think, for a couple of months, and I realized that Netflix is the new Lifetime. They produce all of these kind of slightly cheesy, kind of romance novel-y kind of series. This one is called Virgin River. And I know. And I can't stop watching it. I cannot stop watching it.
So you've admitted to being a voyeur.
Carlos, my wife, has been watching the show.
She loves the show.
I'm like, isn't this like the Bluebell show, but like just cheesier? Heart of Dixie.
Oh my god!
Like it's like the.
I think Heart of Dixie actually is better than this.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is like the B version of Heart of Dixie.
Yeah. So basically, a nurse flees LA after she loses her child and apparently her husband in some way we don't know yet, and goes to this little town called Virgin River, in Northern California, where nobody trusts her, but everyone seems to be friendly. And they also have people growing pot across the river who will kill you if you set foot in their territory, which, by the way, is a real thing. But I can't stop watching it. I can't.
There's even articles on Google that are comparing the shows, saying they're the same.
I can't stop watching it.
Good night, everybody.
And just so you guys know, the antagonist is both played by Tim Matheson.
Well, this explains why Carlos likes Star
God.
Trek.
Why?
Because it started in Montana.
Oh, that's right. It did. I was very proud of that. Just outside of Bozeman. First contact day. Woohoo! Okay. Oh, don't forget. That reminds me. Coming up, we've got the Doctor Who holiday special. Let's keep our eyes peeled on that. Next week is the premiere of season 5 of The Expanse. So
Yay!
you need to figure out how you want to cover it here, folks. But I assume we're all watching. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to probably do a separate show for that.
I gotta binge. Don't I?
Yes, yes, you do.
Yes, you do, because it's
Busy with an antagonist list.
Yes, you do.
You'll get
Yeah, you'll love to do one for that show. You will love to do one for that show.
I'm not an admin in an Expanse group, so I don't think I'll do it.
Do it in a Super Geeks group. There's
Yes,
plenty
you
of
could always do
Expanse
it in
fans in there.
Anyway,
You're
so
an
that's
admin
coming
in
up.
there.
That's coming up next week as well. So I think it what is on the 16th. So that's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a chance, please watch at least the first, because I think Amazon is doing, release 3 at once and then weekly after that. So if we're lucky, we'll get 3 at once. Please watch at least the first one before next week so we can talk about it a bit. Please, please, please. I beg you. And that's all I have to say for this week. Thank you again, everyone, for your wit and wisdom. Any final thoughts before we depart? And of course, we have our regular Florida Man sequence or segment after the official close of the show. So final thoughts?
Yes, I have final thoughts. Ready for this?
Yes.
Angry tea sipping.
There you go. Good thoughts. Mirror Travis and Lane. All right. Anyone else on the program notes? Justin, Stalwart Justin.
Yes. Our episode after Christmas is going to be on a Saturday, I do believe. Was that the plan?
I believe so.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be the same for the New Year's Day one, because I do believe it falls along the same suit. Let me look real quick. I don't want. Yeah. So for the episodes on the 26th and the 2nd, that's going to be on a different day, same time. Just let everybody know we'll still be around. Just stay late, hour short.
As usual.
As usual.
Okay. All
Everybody
right.
still be late. But,
Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next week. And those of you who are sticking around for Florida Man, please do. We'll be here for a little while on that. Otherwise, see you next time.
Adios.
Florida Man.
All right.
Good night, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sean.
Stay warm.
See you, Sean.
I have no pants on. That's what they tell me.
He has no pants on. All right. Let's see what we've got in Florida Man news this week, everybody.
Go,
Florida
get it.
A Florida man. A Florida man refused to mask up in Best Buy. Then he coughed, sneezed, and spit all over the store.
MAGA Florida Man.
Florida man holding trash can for friend finds dead body.
Florida Man.
So USA Today did an entire year of 2020 overview in which they tracked the best Florida Man stories of the year, from alligator attacks to social media fame to fraudulent checks. Florida Man did not slow down in 2020. So if you want to check that out, it's at USA Today. It came out, when did it come out? It was this week. So
And get in the group, Carlos.
yes, I can post it in.
Yeah, post it in the Super Geeks group. That way people
Oh yeah,
will check
I'll
it
post
out.
it in the Super Geeks group. But yeah, it's a whole range of Florida Man stories of high entertainment value. So watch out for it. I'll paste it in there.
Here's a feel good story. Florida man serving 90-year sentence for selling weed has been released from prison.
Did you say mead or meat?
Weed.
Oh, weed. Oh, you said mead.
We covered that. We covered that last week.
Well, here's a feel good Florida man story.
Because I got high.
Florida man pays 114 household utility bills about to be disconnected.
Wow.
Florida man with
Nice.
money.
Yeah, 114. Wow.
A Florida man lets wild snakes bite him for educational purposes.
Dumbass. Florida man.
Florida man, referred to as Orlando man in article, accused of squandering millions of dollars belonging to Puerto Rican city.
Wow.
Orlando man is still Florida man, but stupider.
Florida
You
man.
know, wait. You know I'm from Orlando, right, Justin?
Oops.
Florida
See,
man.
That explains it. No, I'm kidding.
This
I'm
is where you go,
kidding.
stupid
kidding.
man.
The important thing, though, Jason, is you left.
He was
It
smart enough to
negates it.
leave.
See, you got out, so that automatically makes you smarter than most of the Florida men.
Have I ever shared to you my retirement plan?
You're
You're
going
not
back to
going
Florida?
Moving to St. Augustine, and then be a corporate Santa for businesses in Jacksonville during the winter seasons, and then during the year I would be one of those old-timey fashion tour guides who would dress in period clothing and take people and tell them spooky stories around St. Augustine.
I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, you got the beard for it.
Yeah, no, I think you'd be really good at that.
Florida woman high on crack arrested for beating boyfriend for refusing to go down on her.
Is that how it actually says it in the story?
Well, no, that's the Florida man headline.
Florida man.
Florida man.
I'll read.
Please do.
Florida man
Okay, so
unendorsed.
it does say that in the headline. That is the article's headline.
Wow.
Killed Ross.
Florida man unendorsed by Orlando Sentinel for trying to overthrow election.
Who did they endorse?
Here's a good one, you guys. Florida man finds body inside trash can he was storing for a friend.
But that one was just read.
It was?
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, sorry about that.
Michael Waltz. We apologize to our readers for endorsing Michael Waltz in the 2020 general election for Congress. From the Orlando Sentinel.
Well, at least they're
Fired, Florida man.
Not flyered, just flyered.
Fired.
Not fired, just unendorsed.
unendorsed.
They retracted their endorsement of the candidate.
Oh, poor baby.
Except I think he won, and I think he flipped a Democratic seat.
Florida man makes videos of wild snakes biting him for educational purposes.
We said that one. We did that one.
Jason did that one.
I just
Y'all
like the
need to
picture.
coordinate. Y'all need to coordinate.
I just like the picture.
There is a podcast, by the way, called Florida Men on Florida Man, which basically does what we do for a whole podcast, featuring crazy but true stories from the Sunshine State.
Well, it just doesn't have our cheerful demeanor.
Yeah, it doesn't have our cheerful demeanor. Exactly.
And I broke son.
Or our maniacal cackling.
Drunk Florida man in handcuffs asks police to pinch his nipples. And it's a picture. It's a picture of that redneck guy from Waterboy, the coach's assistant.
Wow, okay.
Oh my God. Oh.
There's a whole Florida man Reddit.
Yourself out.
There's a whole Florida Man Reddit. Did you guys know that?
Yeah,
That's what I've been using to do my Florida Man segments. Since
that's where
I just Google Florida Man and pull news stories that I can't find up. You guys can do the Florida Man Reddit.
I'm using the Florida Man Twitter.
I do like Jason. I Google Florida Man for the week.
Okay, yeah.
Florida Man still celebrating made-up sitcom holiday 23 years later.
Festivus
for the rest of us.
Festivus. We actually have what is it they call the not a Festivus bush? We have one in the state capitol here in Washington State.
I have a friend.
It's not a bush; it's a steel rod.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
yeah.
It was whatever it was that they ran around.
I have a friend who, like, before he moved, but in his old house, him and his neighbor across the street, they would decorate each other's house for the holidays, trying to do the most outrageous thing possible. So one year I helped them and we did the Festivus. So we did a big, huge pole, like a gas pole. And yeah.
Naked Florida Man urinates on himself during 4th battery arrest of 2020.
Wow, he's really racking them up. Jason, quick question for you. Did you also do the airing of grievances?
Yes. So he had a big.
What about the wrestling?
That we didn't do the wrestling.
Feats of strength. Feats of strength.
Feats of strength. We did like representations of feats of strength, not like any actual feats of strength, but we did like a big, huge. What do you call it? Like a curling thing, and yeah, it was priceless. It was great.
Lord.
Oh, here's one. Naked Florida Man urinates on himself during 4th battery arrest of 2020.
I just read that one.
Oh,
Ross just read that one. See, it's not just me doing it.
It's not just me either.
Drunk Florida Man carries alligator into liquor store and doesn't remember it.
To read that one.
Florida Man fail.
Where the guy rescued the dog from the alligator. This one's rescuing the alligator from something else.
Florida Man street racing suspect blares cops theme song during traffic stop. Deputy.
I read that one last week. Yep, that was last week.
Bad boys, what you want? What you want?
See, we keep running into this problem. These stories keep getting updated, so they keep getting to the top of Reddit, or they keep getting repeated on the Twitter.
Yep.
Oh boy, Florida Man gets Jersey restaurant shut down with a plague incubator party.
Dumbass Florida Man, possibly MAGA.
That's
Did
Florida
we
Man.
do Florida Man robs store dressed as Spider-Man?
No.
No, that's new. That's new. Florida Man.
Florida Man deputy found inside stranger's minivan, smelling of alcohol, pacifier in pocket.
Look, I ain't gonna kink shame that guy. You was just drunk, right?
Florida Man.
That was actually really sexy, Justin. Do it again.
Florida Man.
We read about the Best Buy spitter guy, the store. He looks like what's his name, Alexander Siddig.
Oh, really?
Florida custodian brought rifle to work at elementary school in Boca Raton. Fellow custodian posts pictures on social media.
I don't know if we read this one, Florida Man. Oh, we read that one last week. Never mind. Drunken flare shooting.
Here's a good one and a feel-good one. Florida Man, Broward robbery convict, now declared innocent.
Florida Man.
Okay.
You are on fire tonight, Justin.
Oh, yeah.
Florida Man takes making deliveries to your door a little bit too far. Crashes into homes.
Oh, Florida Man.
Well,
Yeah,
that's all that hasn't been said already on the Reddit.
Yeah, I had one lined up, but we're not covering it because kids are involved, so we're not covering that one.
Yeah, let's not cover any kids. Florida.
Defeated lying narcissist ex-President Trump will make the perfect Florida man.
Florida man,
That is true.
he will make Florida great again.
Florida doesn't
All
need
right.
help.
Well, in
All we
a
need-
true Florida story, you hear the one about the climate scientist that had her house raided?
Florida man, woman.
Yes.
They raided
Because
her
she
house.
was telling the truth.
They raided her because they charged her with hacking a computer system that A, she had access to when she worked at the department, B, has a shared username and password for the entire
For everyone.
department. And the guy who ordered the raid has resigned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
state of
they
Florida
went in
needs
with
to
guns.
improve their. They need to improve their IT security. Like, you shouldn't have shared passwords, and when people are offboarded, you need to end their access.
And especially something that's like the fucking
Here we go.
alert system.
Florida woman confesses to hiding body in trash can to steal Social Security benefits.
Wait, is that the sequel to the one I read? About the guy who's watching the trash can for his friend and then found there was a body in it?
Oh, maybe it is.
I bet that's a sequel.
Florida man, Florida woman, they do the same, but Florida man can.
Or Florida body.
Florida body.
Taking you to a neighbor's house. Yeah, it probably is. It's probably the sequel. Oh, that's awesome.
Florida man, people.
Florida woman posts butt lift massages are a public health risk, the state says.
Okay.
Butt lift massages are a public health risk.
Okay.
What?
Oh, we read this one last week. It's still a good one. The meth.
Yeah.
That's it, Florida man.
Yeah, I'm already in the last week's
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
So-
Florida
Okay.
woman accused of sending nude photos to teenage boy.
Yikes.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
What is up with Florida teachers having sex with their students?
Good question.
That never happened.
Creepy.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Oh, I was going to ask you guys, how many of you have HBO Max?
I do.
Nuts.
Son
Because
does now.
you remember that Wonder Woman is going to be premiering there on Christmas Day, I think. And it is getting rave reviews.
I've heard it's supposed to. It's actually ow.
Even in Florida. See what I did there?
So
Oh hey,
I
let's,
did find,
are we done with Florida man?
I think we're
I
done
did
with Florida.
find I did find one, but it's not happy at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
Florida woman charged for reportedly smuggling a loaded gun into a Duval County jail.
Hmm. Florida man pleads guilty to strangling mother over bad grade and burying her behind a church.
Oh, Florida idiot.
wow, that's intense.
Florida
Yeah.
meth side.
Alrighty, I think on that note we will call it a night and do our
Yeah.
little after chat.
In
Alright.
the immortal words of Elvira, unpleasant dreams.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone.
Good job this week,
Stay
everybody.
safe, stay warm, stay healthy.
See you next time. See you, Ensign Beardfussé. I kept meaning to ask you, what is the origin of Ensign Beardfussé? I just
So
love
there-
saying it so much.
Oh, so there's a character on Scrubs called Dr. Beardfussé.
Oh, right.
He had to be a scrub system. Okay.
So
I
I
used to watch
decided.
Scrubs, but like 10 years ago.
So I decided to take the reference.
Okay.
And remember, everyone, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
Thank you.
Maybe.